Our 9th event of 2015. We're racing at Talladega next on Fox. It's a gorgeous afternoon. Picture perfect weather for Xfinity Series racing on Fox. Get ready for white knuckle driving at its finest. The Sprint Cup Series just left the track moments ago, and when that happened, our guest analyst calling today's action, he scored the pole. That would be Jeff Gordon. So it takes a bit more time to get upstairs to the booth helping call the action with Adam Alexander and Michael Waltrip. But we have a man of our own in the hotel with a fire suit on, Greg Biffle, filling in for Kenny Wallace, who's racing today, guys. And Greg, we just want to thank you so much for coming by. Good stuff.
Yeah, it was. I had a lot of fun talking about this Xfinity race coming up, so it's always fun to be here. Good luck tomorrow. Thank you.
Usually it's the three of us tossing to a different trio, guys. Jeff should be there momentarily. Mikey, Adam, hang in there.
Hey, I know that Jeff Gordon's won here 6 times, but Michael Waltrip also has a checkered flag here at Talladega, so everything is just fine. You're an expert, right? So tell me, what's going to happen in today's race?
Well, first of all, we get to talk about my one win because Mr. 6-time winner isn't here yet. What's going to happen, Adam, is unpredictable. Just think about Bristol. Joey Logano won that race in dominating fashion. He was one of a handful of drivers we thought could win. Denny Hamlin, same story at Richmond. Here in Talladega, Landon Castle is starting outside the top 30, and I think he's got a legitimate shot to drive through the field and win this race. Who knows what's going to happen when they throw the checkered flag here at Talladega?
You mentioned those 2 short tracks the last 2 weeks. Of course, Bristol and Richmond. Today, big and wide open. As a driver, how do you change your mindset in such a short period of time?
They don't much. They know they've got to be aggressive. They know they have to charge. You've got to get every inch, especially as this race's laps wind down. You can't leave anything on the table. You need track position here at Talladega just like you do on a short track, Adam. That's crazy as big as this place is, but that's how competitive this race is, and that's why it's so wide open.
And how about qualifying today? The Dillon brothers on the front row. Austin on the pole, Ty starting with him up there. It's got to be a magical day for Richard Childress Racing, who is looking for their first win in the NASCAR Xfinity Series here at Talladega. And now the words we all love to say. It's race day in Alabama. Let's go trackside for the command.
Race fans, It's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome Winn Dixie Regional Vice President Drew Elkins.
Drivers, start your engines.
It's just about time to go green at Talladega Superspeedway. 40 NASCAR Xfinity Series cars have come to life. The man that won here 2 years ago, Regan Smith, from the driver's seat, next on Fox. What a gorgeous day it is here in Talladega, Alabama, as the NASCAR Xfinity Series gets ready to roll on Fox for the 9th time in 2015. And if you want a driver to keep an eye on today, how about Regan Smith? So good since coming over to Junior Motorsports at the end of 2012. We give you a little timeline on the New York native. Of course, he won his first and only Sprint Cup Series race at Darlington. That came in 2011 when he beat Carl Edwards to the checkers. 4 times he's gone to victory lane in the Xfinity Series, including here a couple of years ago. Became a father in February. What a great moment it was for he and his bride. And he has been the super sub, filling in this season for both Kurt Busch early in the year and at Martinsville when Kyle Larson couldn't get behind the wheel of that 42. Now we go from the driver's seat with Regan Smith, who starts 11th.
Adam, I'll call up Regan and see how he's doing. Hey, Regan Smith, it's Michael Waltrip up in the Fox booth. First and third in your last 2 starts here, but the last time you're on one of these big super speedways, you wound up on your roof. What do you do to balance the emotion of what all can happen here today?
Well, I think you got to know what you're getting into when you start the day off, Mikey. As you know, these places are crazy. Anything can happen. And you can be up front and end up on your roof. You can be in the middle of the pack and get swept up in a wreck. A lot of stuff can transpire. So we're going to work hard with the Helmet Chevy all day. It's a brand new race car. The guys back at Junior Motorsports built me a fast one, and we're going to try and keep it up front and give it a good show.
It's so cool hopping on board with you and looking into those eyes, see you're focused and ready to go. Tell me about your strategy. Do you lay back? You said there's many different ways to get to the front here.
And my strategy is to race in the front. You know, I feel like the opportunities to miss the wreck are better if you're towards the front of the pack. So we're going to race hard all day long. If we can lead every lap, then we'll try and lead every lap, but we want to be up as far forward as we can. I've been crashed, you know, in any position in these races before, even when you're just riding and trying to stay out of it. So we'll race hard all day.
All right, buddy, get that mayonnaise Chevy up front and have some fun. We'll be checking in later if that's all right.
Regan knows this. Michael, you know this. When we come to Talladega, it's all about the draft. But there are some special rules here for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. For more on that, we check in with our rules analyst, Andy Petrie. Good afternoon, Andy.
Yeah, Adam, there are some special rules that are in effect today that we won't even see tomorrow. In the Sprint Cup Series, they made some rules with the cars to keep them from the tandem drafting that we used to see when the two cars would hook up and stay together for lap after lap and make tremendous speed. Well, they changed those rules with the cars in the Sprint Cup Series, but they changed the rules on the track for Xfinity. The owners got together and said, look, we want to make a rule where we don't have to spend a lot of money on the cars. Just say we can't do it. They're going to try to call this. They're not going to call it really close. They're not going to get these guys for bumping on the straightaways and to help each other a little bit. But if they hook up for any length of time, and it's a discretionary call by NASCAR, but if they hook up for any length of time, they'll get black flagged and have to come to pit road.
And we didn't have any black flags in the NASCAR Xfinity Series in the season opener at Daytona, but we did see them last fall when the Camping World Truck Series competed here at Talladega. Cars making their way around the track. The pace lap's about to wind down. We go green when we return on Fox. NASCAR Xfinity Series racing from Talladega on Fox is sponsored by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of NASCAR.
For Super Speedway racing, especially here at Talladega, I've always had a real aggressive approach.
You kind of want to get up to the front and think that you're safe, but I guess you're never really safe.
95% of the race, you have to be really patient. And then the last 5% of the race is all aggression.
I like to be aggressive from the drop the green flag, and it's paid off well for me in the past.
You're just trying to position yourself in the best position you can.
The ones that can manage it the best are the ones that come out on top.
Where do you want to be, final lap? Out front, or you want to be chasing the man that has the lead, Michael?
I want to be out front with the ball in my hands and want to try to get that thing across that start-finish line. It's a tough task to do as well. We've seen a lot of last lap passes, but Adam, if you're going to win this baby, you've got to be in the first 3 or 4 rows, and that's what we're going to have at the end, is rows of cars lined up trying to get the win.
And a couple of guys that qualified up there not going to start, their teammates at Joe Gibbs Racing. That would be Boris Said driving the 54 and Eric Jones in the 20. Now we hear from our pit reporters. We start things off with Jamie Little. Jamie, good to have you back.
Thanks, Adam. It's always great to be back with you guys. And you mentioned Boris Said. He may be 52 years old. He may be known as a road course ace, but he is back making his debut in the 54 and here at Talladega. Now, Boris told us he has waited his whole life to be in a car this good. He showed he had speed in qualifying, qualified fifth, but because he failed inspection, has to go to the back. So he'll have to use that speed today for Boris Said. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Jamie, Ryan Reed has quickly acclimated himself to restrictor plate racing. At the age of 10, his childhood hero was Dale Earnhardt Jr. He studied Jr.'s winning moves at Daytona and Talladega, and it's rubbed off. Back in July at Daytona, he finished fourth, went back in February, and he won. Now he's starting ninth. The goal today is simply to stay in the first 4 rows to try to take advantage and get a second win here at Xfinity Competition. Vince Welsh?
Austin Dillon is starting up front. He's the pole sitter today, and his team plans on keeping him there with sheer speed. The team worked only on trimming out that car and getting it as fast as it could be yesterday in practice. Didn't run in the pack at all, and Austin Dillon said if he had one concern is they did not run in the draft yesterday at all in practice. Adam?
We're going to find out real quick how it handles in the draft today. Austin Dillon on the front row with his teammate Ty Dillon. Today's aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Everything they learn making tires for the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what rolls into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR.
What a beautiful sight it is from the blimp looking down at this amazing super speedway. I get excited every time I come here, and standing up here in the booth and watching these Xfinity cars battle, this is as good as it gets. You can see the conditions are perfect, Adam, for a great race.
The weather is great, the crowd outstanding, and it's time now for 40 NASCAR Xfinity Series drivers to bring this 2.66-mile tri-oval to life. Dillon brothers coming to the green. Here we go at Talladega.
Watch for the 3 car to dive over in front of his brother. Maybe a little bit of choreographing the start there, getting down to the inside. You know you can't just run side by side. They'll be 3 wide if you do that. So the 2 pole-sitting teammates worked out that start and give Ty Dillon the advantage early.
Opens the door for Daniel Suarez. Qualified in the 6th position, but moved up a bit as his 2 teammates had to drop to the rear. He's pulling that outside lane around. In fact, the top 2 rookies coming in, Suarez, and he's got Darrell Wallace Jr. right behind him.
Well, I talked about 3 wide. We'll see 4 wide, but we didn't even make it a half a lap. We have them 3 wide throughout the field. We see Chase Elliott. Is that him kind of fading back a little bit? We talked about the issues he's had finishing races on these restrictor plate tracks. Only 8 times he's been out of the top 10 in Xfinity competition. 4 of them have been at these super speedways.
Well, Chase qualified in the 14th position. That's him 3rd in line in that outside lane, and contact there is he dipped low, and it looked like he hit Suarez in that bright orange machine.
He's doing the opposite of fading back. We talked to him early before the race. He said, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. He's figured it out now, hasn't he?
Darrell Wallace Jr. went to point from that outside lane. His teammate was in behind him, but there you see Elliott Sadler, blue number 1, jumping out of line, going to the point, and there's trouble. There goes Sadler around.
Oh, and there's other cars spinning. That's Brendan Gaughan.
You're on the bottom. Get on through there. Get on through there. Get on through there. Clear low, outside.
That's Elliott Sadler's spotter. He's the one that started the wreck, and Brett Griffin is still talking him through it.
Second.
Front flat, and I definitely got left rear damage.
That was Elliott Sadler on the radio talking about the damage, and it looks like some front-end damage there for Brendan Gaughan. Let's see what happened. Teammates working together out front.
Those 2 cars trying to sort it out. Elliott tries to get over in a hole that wasn't quite there. And look at that wild ride he goes for. Up onto the racetrack. Held onto that car. Can you imagine that?
You know, they repaved this place not long ago, and that could be huge dividends for Elliott Sadler. I'm not sure he's able to save it if this place isn't as smooth as it is now.
He just thought he had a hole there. I don't know if he got called from up top, the spotter, and saying you're good, but he wasn't good. But wow, what an amazing job Sadler does.
He even got through a portion of the grass, which so many times will upset these vehicles. On board with Daniel Suarez.
And look at the contact back there between Brendan Gaughan. Can't tell who that other car is.
19 of Mike Bliss, I
Is
believe.
that Bliss, the Milwaukee, Oregon native?
Get a good push and you lost ground. Now they're all, keep coming, keep coming, keep coming, keep coming high, keep coming high. Watch that one outside, keep coming though. Okay, one outside, bumper, door.
Oh,
and now you can take a breath, right?
Bumper's 10 spot. Stay where you're at, stay up top, stay up top. Keep rolling, gotta keep coming, gotta keep coming. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on.
That's some good.
Yellow's out, nice job there.
Yeah, that's some good spotting and some great driving by Poole getting through that mess.
There you saw Mike Bliss driving to the garage, unable to compete at Daytona earlier this season. So today, his first restrictor plate race of the year and already in the garage. Jamie, what's up?
And Darrell Wallace Jr., who was involved in that, he said, I don't know what Elliott Sadler was thinking. He was about to wreck the whole field, so I backed out early. Meanwhile, he has some nose damage. They're keeping an eye on it. They're talking about pitting, and he's supposed to bring it down now. The team calling for him to come in.
What a start to this race. Lap 2, and some of the biggest names, top contenders, with a problem as they went to turn 3.
That didn't take long, did it?
It did not take long. Here's what they were saying on Darrell Wallace Jr.'s radio.
Did you slide your tires at all, bud? No, I was good. I mean, I seen him just going to wreck us all there, so I backed out early. No damage, so.
I bet Elliott Sadler wished he'd have backed out a little earlier because they just barely made contact and around Sadler went.
The man that won this race a year ago on pit road in front of Vince Welch.
Well, Adam, he flat spotted the tires, so it's going to be a 4-tire change. A lot of gas on the grill. They got to get that cleaned off. Some right rear from damage from the contact with the other car, and also the right side of the fender, and also the splitter from where he came back up on the track took a little bit of damage. So doesn't seem to be anything seriously major, but a lot of areas that need some attention here for the one of Elliott Sadler. Let's go to Matt.
Vince, Brendan Gaughan spending a lot of time in his pit box. Or surveyed the damage to the nose of the car. They've got bare bond out. They know they're going to need a considerable amount of that. Other than that, they feel very lucky because the steering wheel is straight, so the toe is good. They should be good to go once they get this bare bond up on the nose. Jamie?
And Regan Smith has some damage as well. Said he has some rear bumper damage, but he also has a hole in the quarter panel. They just saw, you see the Barabon going on there on the right rear side, trying to fix that car up early. But it's all about aero at this racetrack, as you guys well know, and they need to get it taped up perfectly.
As a driver, how concerned are you about what Jamie just talked about, the aerodynamics going forward, this happening so early in the race?
Well, this place is all about aerodynamics. Not only the aerodynamics of the car, but how the other cars affect your car. So you want to make sure you get everything squared away. And it looks to me like that's minor damage. That will not hurt this 7-car of Regan Smith's chances to win this race.
Let's go back to our Goodyear blimp and see what happened from high above Talladega Superspeedway.
Elliott Sadler just thought there was a hole there in front of his teammate. And his teammate closed the gap, and it sent Elliott for a wild ride, but an amazing job of hanging on to that car. And then look at that 3-4 wide back behind them trying to sort their way through it. That's some really heads-up spotting and driving by those competitors.
You had 4 or 5 cars get damaged. It's amazing there weren't more involved when you consider how tight the pack was this early in the race, Matt.
And Chase Elliott pulled up alongside the 18 car because there was contact at the beginning of the race. There was concern that there might be a little bit of fender damage around that right front. They said slight damage, but it should not be a tire rub. All should be good to go on the 18.
Thank you, Matt. And now we welcome in the man that's won at Talladega 6 times, 4-time Sprint Cup Series champion Jeff Gordon. You know, if I had been late, third day of the job, I know what my fate would have been. We understand. Congratulations on your 80th career pole, and we didn't waste any time getting it going out here.
No, I hate that I missed that already, but yeah, if I'm going to be late, I better have a good excuse. So I'm pretty excited about being on that pole for tomorrow's race. But wow, I can't believe I already missed all the action.
Well, it was a great start to this race, and there was a lot of passing already, which is great. That's going to be fun for us to watch this on TV today. It looked like Elliott Sadler just thought he was going to pull in front of his teammate. The hole wasn't there, and around he went.
Yeah, I'd love to hear the radio communication with his spotter to see if he said he was clear.
Let's take a look, if we can, at what happened. And since you were on the elevator, Jeff, and you didn't get the benefit of seeing all the replays that we've seen, Elliott Sadler was going for the lead. Lap 2, his teammate, Darrell Wallace Jr. out front, and here you'll see the move going into turn 3.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much like Michael said earlier. He thought he had the space. And you know, it sounds like from what I'm hearing that they never actually cleared him on the radio. So yeah, we're going to have to kind of talk to Elliott.
So we had some technical difficulties there with Jeff's mic, but we'll get that all fixed up and continue on.
Look at Elliott Sadler diving to the inside. Just felt like there was room there to get in front of Bubba, and there wasn't. When you make a mistake, it's really cool that you've got enough talent to overcome it. And his driving job with that thing out of control at nearly 200 miles an hour was a lot of talent.
And here's what I've always loved at Talladega. You can get in the back, and you have many opportunities to work your way to the front. I think about Eric Jones, Boris said, who had to drop to the back at the beginning of this race. And then you look at the other drivers that had problems here. We're going to have a lot of comers and goers, as Larry McReynolds would say, set for the restart as we complete lap 5.
And you can see problems early for the 18 of Daniel Suarez. There's right front damage to that 18 car. So, wow, there's a few laps of intense action, and Suarez gets a great start on the outside.
Well, and Chris Buescher down on the inside. Actually, you saw the debris on his grill, something we'll keep an eye on as well.
You know, if you're watching at home and you say, okay, there's 2 lines, I get it. We're trying to get position. But why don't they just give each other a little bit of space? Why can't they separate? Well, you can really slow down that inside line and vice versa, the inside on the outside, by crowding up a little bit. It just stalls the car out aerodynamically. So that's why they run so close together, because they want to try to take advantage of the air every moment of this race.
Man that started on the pole, Austin Dillon. Third bottom groove in that 33 machine. His brother Ty, who started on the front row with him, he's second in line in that outside lane behind Daniel Suarez.
That's a strong 64 down on the inside. Those guys on the outside bumping and drafting. That's Ty Dillon giving a shot to the back of the car he's following, but they can't do anything with Chris Buescher so far.
Looks like the 3 is actually going to go to the inside lane and make it 3 wide on Suarez. A little bit of, you know, it could have been the spotter, but I think that's just some inexperience on Suarez. You've got to block that middle lane at all times. You never want to get to the outside lane.
And isn't that crazy, Jeff? We're talking 6 laps into this race. We've got 107 laps to go. We're blocking already. We're taking lanes away from people. That's what you have to do to stay up front, though, huh?
Yeah, absolutely, Michael. What I'm seeing these days with the amount of downforce and the type of drafting that we have in the cars today, track position does mean something, and everybody's fighting for it. Yeah, it looks like it's really easy to gain it at times in the race, but if you can get track position, you want to maintain it at all times, and that's why we're seeing so much blocking, so much mirror driving, if you want to call it that, but the spotters have to be on top of every little detail, and that driver, you know, has to do everything right if you're going to win this race.
I love that cat that's going to take over your ride next year, Chase Elliott. We talked to him in the pre-race. He said, I'm not smart enough to have a plan for today. They threw the green flag, and he drove from outside the top 10. He's running second, doing an amazing job. The kid was impressive at Richmond in the Cup race last week, continuing that strong run today.
Well, I think he's a smart race car driver just in general, and sometimes I think it's better to not have a plan. Sometimes you make a plan and nothing goes to plan, and then you find yourself really sort of getting out of sync in what you really want to do in the race. Sometimes just go instinctive.
You know, we were talking about blocking, and you'll see it a lot here at Talladega. You see it at Daytona. Our rules analyst is Andy Petrie. What can you offer there, and what can you get away with, Andy?
Well, in this series, Adam, blocking is not illegal. I mean, it can get you in trouble. We've seen it many, many times. But a lot of racing series around the world, it is illegal. But that's one thing that makes this sport a lot of fun. It's not illegal here to block.
How about Chris Buescher, qualified in the 12th position? He was so strong at Daytona, ultimately pushed his teammate Ryan Reed to the victory, and since restarting out front, that 60 car's been strong in the inside lane.
Absolutely, and I hate that I missed the pre-race, guys, because what I was going to say in the pre-race is the driver that I'm going with is Buescher. I'm so impressed with what he did at Daytona, with what he's been doing on these restrictor plate races, and also his aggressiveness mixed in with his patience, I think it's going to bode very well. And obviously, he's got a fast race car. And who doesn't like bit of honey?
Absolutely. And he was passing it out yesterday, but I do see some debris there on the front grille. Let's listen to his team radio.
We'll need to watch temps a little bit. There's a small piece of debris on the right side of the grill. What's your water temp? 205.
All right. I don't want to take that off, Jeff. If it's only 205, obviously every little bit of aero helps, and that's just a little bit of less drag he has because of the front end.
What are they saying, Vince?
They certainly have not been concerned on the radio since that communication about that debris on the grill. The handling of the car is good, and as Chris Buescher said before the race to me, he said, conservative for me is staying up front. He said, I've tried riding in the back at some of these races before, and it's way too nerve-wracking. I'm going to keep it up front as long as I can, and right now they've got the car to do it.
That little bit of debris on the nose is only more motivation for him to stay out front, because if he gets in behind other cars and in traffic, they're definitely going to see the water temp go up.
Needs that air on the nose.
Absolutely. Here we see the 22 giving the 3 a little bit of a push. You know, obviously there's some different debates about how much you can push, but he pushed just the right amount, I think.
And what a great job he did. He got right down in front of his fellow blue oval racer, Chris Buescher, bailed out on Ty Dillon and grabbed the lead, but then Dillon did the switch over. Dillon's back in the lead.
And how about this? Dillon is the oldest driver to lead today at 23 years of age. Talking about Ty Dillon, Joey Logano right behind him. He'll be strong before it's all said and done. He's never finished worse than third here at Talladega. Dillon, Logano, Buescher, Elliott, Scott, the top 5. The NASCAR Xfinity Series live at Talladega Super Speedway. Top 5, Ty Dillon, Joey Logano, Chris Buescher, Chase Elliott, and Austin Dillon completes the top 5. And there's 2 packs now. The front 10 single file. Last car in line there is Elliott Sadler, who has been on the move since the restart, and then a group that is feeling out the draft.
Yeah, don't get too comfortable if you're one of those guys up there in front. I mean, it's nice to break away and get single file and get settled in, but I can tell you that once those that's packed further back recognizes that they're getting single file, they'll start to get organized and they'll come right back to them.
I like the looks of that one car of Elliott Sadler, Adam. You talked about him being at the back of that front pack, he has got a lot of car underneath him. I've seen him pull up on Brian Scott. It looks like Sadler's saying, let's go, Brian. He wants Scott to maybe hop up on the outside, and he's going to push him. So watch for Elliott to be the first guy to make that move. And Jeff, I think he'll make it when that second pack starts getting there. He'll know it'll be time to go.
That's exactly what I was going to say. If he's really eager to get up there and make it too wide and work his way back to the front, which it looks like he wants to be, I think he's definitely going to wait. Once this group with the next car behind him catches him, you get this little bit of a burst of speed, and you just want to back up to that car, get a little bit of that momentum, and then take that momentum where it goes and hope that some of those guys in front of you say, hey, I see Elliott coming on the outside. Let's hop up there and see if we can make this work.
You guys talk about Elliott Sadler. I shift gears to Chase Elliott, who's fourth right now.
Seems to drive pretty good. Their temp staying good. Yeah, it gets a little warm, when you're up somebody's rear there for a little while. It gets up to about 240, 245. I haven't seen any hotter than that just yet. If it does, I'll let you know.
That's at 190 miles an hour. You talked about him being a cool kid and a calm cat. He's just reporting to his team what he's got, what he's feeling, and I just love his inflection. You can tell he understands it's going to be a long race. They're single file now, but there's a lot of action to take place later in this event, and he seems ready to do battle all day long.
Yeah, it's great to see somebody that's in that situation. It's nice and calm. Of course, he's in a good position. He's in the top 5, and that's a comfortable place to be. I can tell you, it's not as comfortable as it looks when you're in there. There's a lot of accordion going on back and forth. You're listening to your spotter. You're watching what's going on behind you, and you know at any moment that everything could change.
12 cars now in that front group. Talked about Elliott Sadler getting up there. Darrell Wallace Jr. is there, and here's Regan Smith on the back bumper of Brian Scott, who last time around thought about getting out of line and making that high groove work.
Yeah, I was kind of curious what was going on with Brian Scott there. Did somebody get underneath him and shuffle him out, or did he actually peek out there and think that maybe there's a move here, and it just didn't work out? Nobody went with him.
I think he got that little burst of air, that push you talked about from Elliott Sadler. Elliott was right behind him, and I think Brian felt that push, decided he'd hop up top and give it a whirl, and Elliott bailed out on him, stayed down low.
And that's the risk that you take with that move. It could really work out for you if you know that car behind you is going to go with you, but when you don't know, sometimes people at this point in the race would rather be a little bit conservative and just stay in line and maybe pick them off one by one as drivers start to go to that outside to try to make that move.
18 laps complete. What's going on, Jamie?
Well, you were talking about Brian Scott, and that was a plan that he formed. He was talking to his spotter, a lot of chatter for about a lap, and then he decided he was going to pull out, hoping that the 3 cars behind him would go. Nobody went at first, but then the 7 went behind him, and they both realized they were going nowhere quickly as the 7 ducks to the outside of Brian Scott.
One of the things that I see here that happens as this line forms and it gets longer and longer, the accordion effect starts to get greater and greater. And all of a sudden, as you're going in the corner, you start to run up on the car in front of you and start to check up. And so it really encourages you to think, I can pass this car. I can just hop out. Maybe somebody will go with me, and I'll make a pass. But as you saw right there with the 7, it didn't work out. It didn't work out with the 2 with Brian Scott. So they're definitely going to have to get more of an outside lane form in order to make that move happen.
A lot of times when those racers pull out there like that, they're hoping also that someone ahead of them will pull out, see them coming, pull out, and form a second lane. I think that's part of their strategy. Obviously, early in the race, it hasn't worked yet.
Ty Dillon, the championship leader. He's led 10 laps here today at Talladega, and he's out front right now. You're watching NASCAR on Fox. NASCAR Xfinity Series racing from Talladega on Fox is sponsored by Cialis and by Navy Federal Credit Union, proudly serving the armed forces and their families for over 80 years. Just completed our 23rd lap for the NASCAR Xfinity Series here at Talladega, and now our Ford EcoBoost track facts. 7 of the last 10 races ended here with a green-white checker finish. Could be in store for a little overtime. And you guys know the exhilaration of a last lap pass. Last 6 races here, the guy that took the white flag as the leader did not get the checkered at Talladega.
And we're certainly hoping for some more of that today.
Absolutely.
I mean, that to me is what Talladega is all about, especially where the start-finish line is. You just get so many different opportunities on that last lap as you come through 4, as you come through the tri-oval. It's just never over until it's over. And I tell you, it's early in the race, and we're already seeing 22 and the 3 doing some bump drafting, or maybe even you could possibly call it some tandem pushing. But just, I guess they're just experimenting right now, Michael.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out how they push and learn that trait perfectly. You could see Kenny Wallace there on the outside. He has drove up to the back of our lead pack. Kenny's doing a great job creating a line, an opportunity for those guys to pull up. You talked about passing being so hard. That's why when the race gets down to the final stages, people start to push and shove. You've got to make aggressive moves to get anywhere. Early in the going, you're generally going to let somebody have a break. Later on, I don't think so.
Well, and I think early, you know, these cars can tandem, not for a long period of time, and get that extra boost. We know NASCAR frowns upon it. They've made some rule changes where you can't really do that. But there are certain amounts of time that you can push. But and they don't want to take, you know, make too much of a risky move early in the race. But I can promise you they're going to push the limits of that in those final, 2 laps or that last lap. They are going to push the limits of NASCAR's ability to make that call and say, all right, it's a judgment call. How far can we take this?
You know, Jeff, it's been an interesting day for our rookie leader, Daniel Suarez. Started up front, dropped back, and is now 14th, Matt. What's the story there?
Adam, moments ago, we were looking back from the bumper of Daniel Suarez in the 18 car to his teammate, the 20 of Eric Jones. You can see the cushion that he has between the 2 JGR Toyotas. He asked for that. Suarez says his car is just so free. When Jones would tuck up underneath him, he asked for a little bit of a cushion until they can get to their first pit stop to try to tighten up that Toyota.
Matty, there's a little bit of damage to the right front of Suarez's car. The Goodyear lettering is rubbed off the tire and his fender's bent a bit. So that team, when they make their first pit stop, they might have to look and see if there's some repairs they'll have to make there.
You know, I found it interesting that he made those comments about getting loose. I was talking to Austin Dillon yesterday, and he told I was trying to compare the Cup cars to the Xfinity cars, and he said that these cars have a little more downforce and they're stuck very good, and you can get very aggressive and get right up on somebody's bumper a little more so than you can in the Cup car. So I do find it a little interesting that Suarez was getting a little bit loose there, but they are a little bit further back. There's a little less downforce and air flowing over the car, so I guess not totally surprised.
How good is Ty Dillon feeling right now? At Daytona, he led 16 laps. Hadn't led a lap since until today. He's been out front for 18 circuits, 27 complete at Talladega. It's always fun when you come to Daytona or Talladega. And it's really fun when you're with a guy that understands what it's all about. Jeff Gordon, no stranger to success, won his 80th career pole earlier today here in Alabama. Got 6 wins here, most among active drivers. 12 wins all time when it comes to restrictor plate racing. That is the most ever. And Jeff going to be with us all afternoon for the NASCAR Xfinity Series, racing for the 9th time in 2015. And I'm sure, Jeff, with all of your experience over the years racing at both Daytona and here at Talladega, there were times you felt like a little bit of a punching bag in the draft. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. Let me just say I'm thrilled to be a part of this race up here in the booth because I love watching restrictor plate racing and drafting at Talladega way more than I actually enjoy driving it. It is a white knuckle experience, and we're already seeing some of those white knuckle experiences on the track while we're at break.
Yeah, you confirmed how much better it is up here in the booth by watching Bubba Wallace get about wrecked right in the tri-oval. Just a bump drafting incident that almost went bad wrong. Brian Scott right behind Wallace.
And this is why I really kind of discourage pushing in the corners, because that can happen. And all that was Bubba came off the corner and he's unwinding the steering wheel, and Brian's trying to stay in that right side of his bumper because that's the safe zone. But what it does is it hooked him, and they got working back and forth and almost turned Bubba Wallace out into the outside wall. That was a great save.
And when that happens on track, it creates conversation on the radio. We start with Brian Scott's team.
Apologize to the six. I obviously didn't mean to do that. I just trying to give him a good shove. Car just had us jack sideways off the floor there, that's all. Yeah, imagine that. All right, man, nothing you can do there. Just right back in your rhythm here. To apologize, but obviously take that for what it's worth. Nice deep breath, we'll be fine.
Shocking that under these conditions we're seeing a slight difference of opinions on what went on, and we're only, 33 laps into this race, so those types of conversations are definitely going to heat up as we get to the second half of this race. But that's just how easy things can materialize in a hurry and go bad here at Talladega. It looks like they're just riding along, everything's cool. It is not. There's a lot going on.
Ryan Reed won at Daytona, the season opener, 8th right now, Matt.
And they are 2 to 3 laps away from pitting. His spotter, Joel Edmonds, told him, remember, this place invites you to speed on entry. No penalties. Also, they asked if you have any requests. He said, nope, the car is good.
Yeah, that's one thing, Matt, you always have to concentrate on is how do you get on pit road under green? And speaking of that, Larry, we're closing in on the pit window where these guys would have to make some green flag stops.
Well, yeah, we've run 34 laps now, and the Sunoco fuel window is about 40 to 44 laps. And this is where I think the crew chiefs will really be talking to the drivers like Daniel Suarez to Eric Phillips about what that car is doing, because you think about a 113-lap race, essentially it is a 2-stop race. So right now, these drivers really have to tell their crew chiefs what's going on, because they'll be on pit road here shortly for green flag stops.
And guys, another thing that's going to be critical on these green flag stops is the spotters and the drivers having their head right in the game. Look at this groove they're running, Jeff, off turn 4. That's exactly where you go to pit road from. If someone checks up back in that pack and the guy behind him isn't aware of what he's doing, we'll have a big crash trying to get to pit road.
It's amazing to me how every one of these types of races, you always see some incident with cars getting to pit road, running into one another, turning someone else into the outside wall, locking up tires. We practice this a little bit during practice, but for some reason when you're under green flag conditions in a race, you just push it a little bit further and sometimes take it too far.
Haven't mentioned Joey Logano much today, but he's running second, and always a threat when you come to Talladega in the Xfinity Series.
Click 36 on the racetrack, and then we're going to pit. That's what I want you to tell the 60, and that's what I think the 3 is going to do. 10-4, I've told the 60, and he...
Austin Dillon locked him down. Chase Elliott in his pit. Matt?
A number of spotters were telling their drivers put a little bit of heat in their brakes. That way they wouldn't lock up, they could stop. They were telling Chase Asked him about the temperatures. He said it's a little bit high in traffic. No adjustments. They just want to pull the tape off the grill. Vince?
Well, the 3-car Ty Dillon pitted from the lead, said it was a little tight, and on the splitter trying to get down to pit lane. They make a slight chassis adjustment. No penalties. That was the message from crew chief Danny Stockman. Jamie?
Ryan Scott, all the choreography. He was a little worried, but no changes on that car. 4 tires stopped. The 2 good, down and away, as well as the 60. Wow, that was close.
And he just about collided with Regan Smith coming off pit road, who had to dive down below him, so they didn't make contact.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing that nobody made contact there. These tires are really hard here to be durable at this speedway, and it's pretty easy to spin the tires. And we saw where Buescher actually needed to spin the wheels to get out of his box.
Ty Dillon, too fast entering. He'll have a pass-through penalty. Here's the 18, Matt.
Very close to going over the line. He only has about 7 inches before that would have been a penalty. Significant chassis adjustment. Remember, Suarez said his car was extremely loose, especially in traffic. Vince?
The 22 of Joey Logano about a 3/4 tight on exit and getting tighter as they go. So they make a chassis adjustment, 4 tires and air pressure to help free up Joey Logano.
Scheduled green flag pit stops underway here at Talladega, and it was eventful. We start exiting pit road on board with Regan Smith, and watch the 60 of Chris Buescher. That was close.
That was an aggressive move leaving.
The new race leader, as Boris said, he's yet to come to pit road here at Talladega. NASCAR Xfinity Series racing from Talladega on Fox is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. By Kay Jewelers, every kiss begins with K. And by Chevrolet, find new roads. Under caution for the second time today here at Talladega Superspeedway, and it's out for the man that won the championship a season ago, Chase Elliott.
Tough break here. I mean, he's doing such a great job in the top 5. Obviously, a right front, I would say Michael went down. And what gets interesting is they chose to do left side tires into that pit stop, but he locked the right front tire up coming to pit road. As you're going to see here, right at the end, he starts to lock that right front tire up. At that point, if they know they're doing lefts, either Chase or the spotter needs to let the crew chief know that they've locked that right front tire up. It's crucial not to lock it up if you know you're doing lefts, but at the same time, you still have to communicate that, so they could have done rights or 4 tires.
Absolutely killed, buddy. Right front was flat spotted. Yeah, I should have put 4 on. My bad.
That tells me that maybe Chase did tell him that he locked that right front tire up, because him saying it's a flat spot, I have a feeling that in his tone that was communicated to him.
Big break for Ty Dillon, who had been caught speeding on pit road. Same for Daniel Suarez, because they can now serve their penalties under caution and stay on the lead lap. It's a Saturday afternoon NASCAR event in Talladega on Fox. Tonight, all about baseball on Fox Sports 1, part 2 of our doubleheader, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, the Reds and the Braves in the National League. You can watch it on Fox Sports 1. We're streaming live on Fox Sports Go. So the bad luck for the guy that was running second in the championship coming in. Good luck for the guy who was leading in the title chase entering Talladega.
Yeah, watch the 3-car of Ty Dillon compared to the cars behind him of Chris Buescher and Chase Elliott. He's just going way too fast when he crosses that line there, and that line there marks the first segment. You could see him slowing down to try to make up for it, but it was just too late.
Yeah, he just carried way too much speed in there, and as those fronts start to lock up, you're actually having to release off the brakes to try to get the tires to get contact with the pavement to slow you down, and that first segment is very short.
Now let's hear from Chase Elliott, who brought out the caution. Jamie?
And he's out of the car now. Chase, we showed you lock up the tires, yet you guys took left sides. Was there any discussion at any point about taking 4?
No, our plan was to take lefts there and just flat spot the right front coming in, and a few laps later, and there she went. So I hate it. We'll try to get it fixed. I'd say it's pretty well done, but maybe not. So we'll try to get some points if we can. If not, we'll got a long ways to go.
Trying to avoid a second DNF of the year.
Things can change so quickly, Jamie, here at Talladega. The guy that brought out our first caution, Elliott Sadler, now leading the race, 41 complete. NASCAR Xfinity Series racing from Talladega on Fox is sponsored by Ford F-150. Introducing the all-new Ford F-150, the future of tough. Welcome back live to Talladega Superspeedway. Good to have you with us on a Saturday afternoon on Fox with Michael Waltrip, who has a win here at Talladega in the Sprint Cup Series, and Jeff Gordon, who won here 6 times. I'm Adam Alexander. Elliott Sadler leads this race, and so many other stories to tell behind him. It's been a wild first half.
Just getting to pit road, we talked about how difficult it is and how the drivers have to be game on. Chase Elliott slid his tires, but you made a great point, Jeff. You think maybe Ty Dillon suckered him into getting to pit road a little bit faster than he wanted to because Dillon was going too fast when he got to the end of pit road.
You never want to get beat getting to pit road. So,
it's a pride thing, right?
It's a pride thing, and I think Dillon just overshot it. And he pulled some of those other guys in with him, and I think Chase was realizing it, and he started to get on the brakes harder and lock that right front up.
And this caution, a huge break for the 3 and 18, Andy.
Yeah, Adam, this is a huge break for the 3 and the 18, but for Ty Dillon, he was able to delay his appearance onto pit road to make that pass through for that penalty for speeding on pit road until that caution flag came out. Now he can just start in the rear of the field, and he'll have served that penalty. And that's a huge break for this team because they would have lost a lap had they done that under green and had stayed green.
And Andy, they came to pit road, got a little bit of fuel, maybe made a slight adjustment to that 3 car. So they're taking a really tough break and turning it into what could be a bit of an advantage before the day's over.
That was an absolute huge break for the 3, and I believe the 18 as well.
This is Chase Elliott's radio coming to pit road.
You're only 7 in. Fun's locked up. You're going to have to do 4, 2, 1, right here. Left side.
Wow, they made the call to thinking they needed 4, and they overrode it.
It's so much chaos going on at that moment. He's only 7 stalls in is what I think the spotter was telling him. And so you just don't have much time to make those calls. And because there's a lot of adrenaline flowing from the driver, the spotter, the crew chief, it's a crucial pit stop. It just seemed like there was a little bit of communication breakdown, and they just couldn't make the call that quickly.
The bad news for Ty Dillon, he's 29th. Good news, Vince, he stays on the lead lap.
And this is the 3rd time since that penalty that he's come down to top off with gas. They also made a chassis adjustment. And his spotter, Billy O'Day, told him when he was coming in way too hot. And the real kick in the gut in that is that Danny Stockman, the crew chief, had talked to Ty on the lap prior to the pit stop, warning him about that quick entrance onto pit road, how difficult it is. We don't want any penalties. We're pitting from the lead, no speeding, and stop short in the box so we don't get penalized. And that's exactly what happened.
Well, he's led 26 laps today, so we know that 3 car is fast. We'll see traffic here when we get the restart. Join millions in building alliances, creating empires, and battling enemies. Game of War. Download and play for free now from the App Store.
Real quick, just to kind of close what happened with Austin Dillon coming to pit road there. You practice this, typically in practice you'll do maybe 1 run to pit road. But the difference is that you haven't had 38 laps or 36 laps on the tire, so sometimes that judgment can be off. And that's why I always, that first pit stop, when I know the tires have a lot of heat in them, I'll be a little conservative that first time and try to get my braking points right on hot tires. And that may have been what happened there. Or, you're leading the race and you just want to make sure you get completely clear of the field behind you to keep from getting run over, and he just carried a little bit too much speed.
From one RCR driver to another. Matt, what's going on with Brendan Gaughan?
Brendan Gaughan restarts 6. Now, his crew chief Shane Wilson told his team after watching the incident with Chase Elliott, if we're pitting under green, we're going to go just 2 tires, but be prepared for 4 just in case we have an issue sliding our tires on entry in a possible flat spot. That way we don't dig ourselves into a big hole.
Don't just learn from your own mistakes, learn from others as well.
Still have a lot of debris around track under caution here. We'll clean it up, put the green flag in the air when we return. You're watching the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Fox. NASCAR Xfinity Series racing from Talladega on Fox is sponsored by Hisense. Hisense, life reimagined. By Budweiser. Budweiser, still brewed the hard way. This Bud's for you. And by Ram Trucks. Guts, glory, Ram. We have cleaned up our second caution of the day for the NASCAR Xfinity Series here at Talladega. Front row going to be Eric Almirola to the outside of race leader Elliott Sadler. Joey Logano, Casey Kane in row 2. Then it's Brian Scott, Brendan Gaughan, row 3.
Didn't we see Elliott Sadler in a crash early in this race, and now he's leading?
Along with Brendan Gaughan. He was crashed with Mike Bliss in the middle of that Elliott Sadler spin, and he's back in 6th spot now.
Well, I'm really anxious to get going here, and as the green comes out, it's just seeing who's going to get the lead, how this 2-wide racing is going to work out, and how long they're going to stay 2 wide or 3 wide.
You know, Jeff, you ran in here in a hurry, and we had a spin, and you couldn't really get your legs under you. Had a caution. You got your breath now, so we can bring this baby home. I was worried about you running out of energy after that amazing start we had. But
I was going to say, I got off to a rough start, but man, I tell you, there's a lot of adrenaline flowing for me up here. I love watching this. I love what's going through these drivers' minds right now. Of course, you have what's going on with the crew chiefs, and we've already seen that was difficult enough as well. But you know, these drivers have so much to think about. They've got the spotters that are constantly communicating and talking to them. So much to take in at this track. And this is a mentally draining race after this thing's over. You're just exhausted.
You can see the accordion effect. Cars bouncing off of one another, back and forth, spreading out 3 wide. That's Ty Dillon, who's gotten aggressive back there trying to get his way to the front. And that was a good shot of what is legal, what is allowed in bump drafting. You cannot stay connected to a car for any period of time at all. You hit a car, you bounce off of them. You hit them, bounce off. It was a great example of Joey Logano doing that on this start.
This is a perfect example of what happens when you get shuffled out of the draft with Brendan Gaughan going backwards in a hurry.
Change for the lead. There goes Joey Logano. A little push from Brian Scott. Outside lane goes around Elliott Sadler. Put that 22 car on point at Talladega.
Well, now it's going to be reversed here for Brian Scott. He was the one pushing Darrell Wallace Jr. earlier. Now he's got a nice push from Eric Almirola, making a nice run here towards the front.
Golly, they're just so tight. When you're early in the race and you're side by side like this and you're bumping and pushing, so many things can go wrong.
You know, we saw Brendan Gaughan drift back, and I wondered about, is he going back there to help his teammate? Now you see him in behind Ty Dillon working that far outside lane.
I think you're absolutely right.
How about our Fox reporter Kenny Wallace up there in the middle of that battle, just ahead of those two?
A little help from Jeffrey Earnhardt, who is on the lead lap and running strong 49 laps in.
Anytime you have an Earnhardt running good at Talladega, that's a great feeling. Brings back some wonderful memories.
You know, the fans love it. They're standing up, cheering. You know, now, so when Brendan went back there to, I guess, get his teammate, which was a gutsy move, but we're going to see how this plays out. Now they're 3 wide, back in the middle of the pack, but they certainly seem to be coming to the front.
Whew. This is intense right now.
You know, if the boss got on that 62 radio and said, Brendan, would you drop back and help the 3? I would think he would oblige, because the boss would be Richard Childress, who just happens to be Ty Dillon's grandfather. You tend to hear the boss when he speaks in that tone, huh?
Oh, absolutely. And as much as you don't want to go back there, it also pays huge dividends to be a team player in situations like this, if it all plays out. If it doesn't play out well, it could actually create some turmoil within the organization. So this is going to be very interesting to watch. To me, you know, that's such a tough call, because the last thing you want to do is get in not just mid-pack, but they're even further back than that. And that's where a lot of accidents happen in this race at this point, where we just come off of a restart. We're 2 and 3 wide, and those guys are right in the middle at 3 wide. Anything can happen and take you out of this race.
What's going on with that 62, Matt?
Well, dropping back to the back may end up paying off for RCR as a team as a whole in the end, but that's not how it started. Brendan Gaughan not pleased with racer Reed.
16 shot me out of there. Yeah, 10-4. I saw that. That's what I told the 88. He was messing with you. That's why you got into him a couple times.
That makes a little more sense to me. You know, as much as I know Richard Childress would love for him to go back there and help out Ty, I'm pretty, I'm not surprised that he maybe got shuffled out of there. Once you have that track position, you don't want to lose it. And that just shows you, it sounds to me like, Ryan Reed, young, aggressive driver, being maybe a little bit too aggressive with the front bumper and got Brendan up out of the groove.
You can see this view here. We're on top of the car, Jeff. There's a pretty good visibility what's going up 3-4 cars ahead. But down in that race car, how well can you see what's going on ahead of you? If something goes wrong, how much time do you have to react to it?
You can't see much at all these days. Look at how big that spoiler is. It's wide, it's tall. You can't even see inside the car. If a driver was to wave his hand for any reason to say slow down or anything, you can't see it. You can barely see the left side where maybe a driver, not me, Michael. Michael's arm comes halfway out the window. He's got such long arms. I've got short arms. I can barely get my fingers out there, but it is so difficult to see any kind of hand movement. And so when a car checks up, it's very difficult to really catch it fast enough to not already be in the wreck.
One of the best super speedway racers in the history of NASCAR is Buddy Baker. And my brother used to joke that when Buddy got mad at you, he got his whole body outside of his car to shake his fist at you. And Buddy was a big man when he raced in NASCAR. And those are funny stories.
We haven't heard a lot about Casey Kane today, but he looks good right now in that outside lane, Jamie.
He sure does. It's his first Xfinity Series race this year. He said, hey, it was an open hole in the schedule, and I like this place, so I'm here. And the car is good. He says it's next to perfect. They didn't make any adjustments on the one and only stop. Started 17th and working his way in this front pack.
I think you're going to see Casey be a real factor in this race. I mean, he's just being smart. He's filling out the car. The car obviously has good speed because he made those comments. Right now he's in that outside lane.
Boris was
a little bit hairy there, so it's not exactly going easy for him, but I do think that Casey will be a factor. If you look at his past history, not only in restrictor plate racing, but in this particular series, and that car is a fast race car.
And you know what he's got going for him today? He's driving the 88. When you're behind the wheel of the 88 at Talladega, fans will cheer for you. And he won driving for Junior Motorsports last summer at Daytona. Just about halfway in the Winn Dixie 300 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series at Talladega. Let's rewind to lap 2. Teammates out front. Elliott Sadler cuts down in front of Darrell Wallace Jr., goes through the grass, saves it up the banking. A few other cars involved, including the 7 of Regan Smith, who got some damage. They would all come down pit road, and how quickly things can change here at Talladega. There's Elliott Sadler running second, and he's led 8 laps today.
Regan Smith up inside the top 5 in that number 7 Chevy, and Brendan Gaughan, he was up in the 6th spot, got shuffled out of line. He's currently riding 21st. He had some pretty good damage to that 62 car, and they've overcome that as well as Bubba Wallace, who's inside the top 10.
Crazy all the things that go on in this race, things that you think you'll never be able to recover from, and then the next thing you know, a pit stop, 20, 30 laps later, and all of a sudden you're back up front right in the middle of it again.
How hard is it, though, to manage those emotions and realizing at a place like this, it's really never over till it's over?
It truly isn't. You can go from the front to the back or the back to the front in just a matter of laps. And of course, you always, as I mentioned earlier, you always want to try to maintain that track position if possible, because it makes your day go a lot easier. But as we found out, just even being up front in the lead is it's never clear. You're never clear of any potential danger.
You can bump draft here, but you can't latch on and push one another in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. NASCAR sending out a warning on the radio moments ago.
Spotters, just a reminder, every driver is off the bumpers.
Yeah, I'm not seeing him at all. I mean, I'm knocking the hell out of him, but I'm not seeing a test.
You know, I mentioned this earlier. These drivers, they're going to push that call from NASCAR, and we haven't even gotten to the part of this race where they're really truly going to push it. But what happens on these 2 and 3 wide runs like this, and after a restart, everybody is wanting to get that slight advantage, and if you get locked onto the bumper of the car in front of you, it can propel you to that next line, or that by that next car. And so you're sitting there just ever so slightly trying to manage it and push the limits. And yeah, there's a little bump here and a little bump there, but if you can get locked on, you can actually make up some great ground. And I think NASCAR probably needed to say something. It was not only were some guys pushing the limits, but it was getting pretty rowdy out there, and we saw some cars really getting out of shape.
You saw the day for Elliott Sadler. He's been back and forth and back and forth. What a ride for the one, Vince.
Well, that's for sure, Adam. And with only 2 top 10s this season, avoiding disaster on that contact and spin carries some extra significance for Elliott Sadler and company. They really need a good finish today to help out their season. So when they were able to come in and get those 4 tires changed, the grill clean, and pull out the fender, the fact that there was no serious damage to that race car didn't hurt its speed. It was a really big play in their favor for Elliott Sadler and company here so far this afternoon. Jamie?
Vince, and same goes for the 7 of Regan Smith. He had that right rear damage. They had to come in early in the race and repair it. They put the bear bond on there. The car has been great. He was a little tight on exit. They made an adjustment for it on the pit stop, but he is good, looking for his 2nd win here at Talladega. Matt?
Daniel Suarez started at the back because they came in and topped off the 18 car. So he should be good to go on one more stop if it goes green all the way to the finish. And on that loose condition he was dealing with, they made a significant adjustment. That has helped give him much more comfort in the draft.
And I would say when you talk about the fuel window, the same would be true for Ty Dillon in the 3 car, who last pitted at lap 45. But right now, the man with a championship lead coming in has scored back in the 24th position. Perhaps he's playing it safe here in the middle stages of the race.
Yeah, but there's nowhere to play it safe, Adam. That might be the worst place to be. Back in 24th, if anything goes wrong ahead of him, it'd be nearly impossible to miss the mess. He's got an advantage with his fuel, but he just keeps hanging around right there in the 20th spot.
There's no way that's safe where he's at. I mean, you would have to be a lot further back or a lot further forward. I promise you, he's trying as hard as he can to get himself further up there.
So you're saying he's uncomfortable right now?
He's not happy. I can tell you that. He's not happy.
I'm uncomfortable for him. I'll tell you that.
61 laps complete here at Talladega. You're watching the Winn Dixie 300 on Fox.
I think to avoid the big one is pretty much just about making smart decisions all day.
You never plan on when the wrecks are going to happen. You just hopefully you can get away from it.
If you sit there and worry about it too much, if it, let it consume you, it does you absolutely no good.
My attitude's always be to try and be in front of it, try and be leading the pack. If you're in front of the line of cars, you're the only one you have to be responsible for.
The topic of conversation there, the big one. Are we ready for it? You be the judge. Aerial coverage today provided by Goodyear. Everything they learn making tires for the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what rolls into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. I give you the mess that could create the big one. How hard is it to avoid it?
Oh, it's so hard. I've tried every different type of way to go about it, and I would say over the last 8 years, the type of racing, the aggressive racing, the three-wide racing has just gotten tougher and tougher and tougher, and that's why you start to lose your patience and you start to use the bumper, and that's when the big one occurs.
I have two takeaways from that little video there. One was Ty Dillon saying he prefers to be leading the pack. He's currently running in 25th. The other is Brennan Poole saying being smart will keep you out of the big one. And I love his innocence and I love his spirit, but that doesn't work either. Like Jeff said, you try everything you can, and if you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time, there's nothing you can do.
There's no doubt about it. You can certainly help your cause if you make good decisions by not being the one that causes it. That doesn't mean you're going to avoid it.
Glass half full for Brennan Poole. What about Austin Dillon? Started on the pole, running 5th right now.
Yeah, I think the short side of the window is like 72, but if we stretch it a little longer, give us a little something in the kitty for green-white checkers if it gets crazy at the end. I'm good with it. We get within 5 laps of it, just let me know so we're all on the same page.
This is some tense time coming off the corner here. Look at those lap cars. We're going to be 4 wide. That's tough at exiting the corner, getting those lap cars.
Jeff, you talked about the level of concentration at Talladega. Here's a perfect example of why you leave this place all stressed out. Wow, Daniel Suarez came in leading the rookie points. Barely got through there. Joey Logano out front at Talladega on Fox.
No, that's
yeah,
why I brought it.
NASCAR Xfinity Series racing from Talladega on Fox is sponsored by Game of War. Play free now. 71 of 113 laps complete here at Talladega. That means 42 to go. We're getting close to the window to being able to go the distance and getting close to needing to come back down pit road under green. What strategy going to play out here, Larry?
Well, Adam, it's interesting because I think you guys have done a good job of documenting Ty Dillon and Daniel Suarez. They can go another 10 to 12 laps. But when I look at all of our leaders right now that pitted anywhere between lap 36 and 38, if they want to make this a one-stop race from here on out, they're going to have to go about to lap 75 or 76. But considering we had 8 cautions under that last caution flag period, I think they'll be able to do that, but they're going to have to go to about 75 or 76 to make it to the end without stopping anymore.
And we just completed lap 72, Larry, so the next 3 or 4 laps we could see him on pit road. Top 3 all Fords, third in that lineup, the 43 of Dakota Armstrong, Matt.
11th at Daytona was Dakota Armstrong. Now he's on the bottom because they're getting close to pitting. They told him, we're going to go with right side tires. Please tell us if you flat spot on entry, we will audible to 4.
You know, when saw everybody waving out the window to signal to the drivers behind them that they're coming. Here we go.
There it goes. Daniel Suarez, Joey Gase, Ryan Reed, John West Townley, all involved as the leaders started to come down pit road. Brendan Gaughan was sideways on the pit lane. Oh, my goodness.
So unfortunate. These guys are having such a tough time getting to pit road today.
Ty Dillon, one of those that had issues.
The first time they came, Jeff, they were single file. That time being side by side in 2 rows. Someone just made a mistake coming to pit road.
Yeah, it's so frustrating for me being up here watching because it's so unnecessary for this to happen. I mean, it doesn't take rocket science to figure out how to get to pit road, but you've got guys on the inside lane. They should know that the cars in front of them are pitting, but yet they're choosing to either not check up and give some more space or get to that outside lane to get around those cars, and then there's contact, and here we see a big crash as you're trying to get to pit road.
Brendan Gaughan looked like made heavy contact to the inside of pit wall. There's our buddy Kenny Wallace. He's involved in this accident. Ty Dillon as well. Ty got spun around on pit road. I don't think his damage is significant, but continuing to be a challenging day for that 3 car on pit road.
I can't wait to see the replay to see where the 3 car was and all of that.
This will give us a good view of it, Jeff, looking from the Goodyear blimp down on what happened. Somewhere back in this area, Daniel Suarez was involved in it. There's going to be someone that doesn't get the memo that cars are pitting. Suarez locks up. He gets hit in the back by the 39 of Ryan Sieg, and just chain reaction from there.
And I think maybe it was Eric Almirola. He was still in that outside lane as they started peeling off, and you really need to get below that yellow line in order to give room for all those cars that aren't pitting. And so to me, it's a combination of an accordion effect, things coming up fast, and that one car not getting below the yellow line.
Second week in a row that Brendan Gaughan has a scary moment on pit road. Last week, the fire at Richmond. Today, wrecked as he came down pit road and heavy contact.
Right there with Suarez. You can see he gets hit in the back. Joey Gase was into the back of Ryan Sieg. John West Townley gets clobbered. And watch the job that Ty Dillon does coming through here. He's slowing down. Brendan's out of control. He's going to try to thread the needle between the 2 cars crashing on pit road and gets hit by Gaughan in the left rear pretty hard, Jeff.
Oh, that's unfortunate. He did such a great job coming down pit road, and big impact by Brendan Gaughan into that pit wall. That wall is really not built to take that kind of a high-speed impact.
On board with Daniel Suarez.
So
there was a white car that was up in the middle of the groove.
I'm pretty sure that is that not the 98 of Almirola? I'm not sure exactly who that was, but whoever that car was, they just needed to get below the yellow line a little bit sooner.
Riding with Daytona winner Ryan Reed.
Oh. Stay high, hustle. Dang it.
He just about got through there.
Looks like
they turned us around here. They wrecked behind us and got us. The back is killed. Nothing coming at you right now. Let's get to the apron.
So many anxious moments in these green flag pit stops. So much going on to try to get to pit road.
Brendan Gaughan hit the wall, came off, made contact with Ty Dillon, who slides to a stop, but some contact there as well on the left rear.
He might be all right, Jeff. Didn't look like much.
Under caution
damage.
for the third time today as drivers were coming to pit road to make scheduled green flag pit stops here at Talladega.
Pam, can we see?
NASCAR Xfinity Series racing from Talladega on Fox is sponsored by Mad Max Fury Road. From Warner Brothers Pictures on May 15th, the future belongs to the Mad. By KFC, the world's best chicken. How do you, KFC? And by AutoZone. For the parts, accessories, and advice you need, get in the zone, AutoZone.
One word to describe Talladega Superspeedway racing is wow. Inside the Hollywood Hotel, Danielle Trotta, Larry McReynolds, and wow, what a busy afternoon it's been. In case you're just joining us, let's get you caught up on the highlights. Some brothers sharing the pole. Ty Dillon, a thumbs down to his brother Austin. They'd be racing all afternoon. Elliott Sadler, trouble lap 2.
Yeah, lap 2, he tried to go to the inside and clear his teammate Darrell Wallace Jr. He was not clear. It gathers up Brendan Gaughan as well as Mike Bliss.
Lap 36, Ty Dillon speeding down pit road.
On a green flag pit stop, but caught a break because the caution came out. But here's Chase Elliott sliding the right front. They made the decision, left side tires only. He's leading the race and blows the right front tire.
Then we go green for several more laps, Larry. As you get to the later stages of the race, you know the big one is coming.
Well, and who would know the big one comes as we have several leaders coming to pit road. Some drivers didn't get the memo that they were making green flag pit stops, and the best I can count, 12, 13, 14 drivers involved in this crash.
The big one coming just moments ago. It was lap 73 of 113 laps. Some trouble for Daniel Suarez there, perhaps starting that, checking up as drivers are coming down pit road.
Yeah, some of them had trouble earlier, too.
We're going to get you back live to Talladega. More right after this. You're watching us on Fox.
74 of 113 laps complete for the NASCAR Xfinity Series at Talladega Superspeedway. Our 9th race of 2015, our 3rd caution flag of the day, has turned into a red flag. They've stopped the field over on the back straightaway, and the caution came out when we had a collision as drivers were trying to get to the pit lane under green.
And guys, watch this 98 car of Eric Almirola. You see he was on the outside lane and decided to make a pit stop, and it just bunched up the cars from behind. Eric Almirola slowed up, or excuse me, Daniel Suarez slowed up. The cars behind him couldn't. We talked about how you can't see up ahead of you very well anyway. Caused a heck of a mess.
You know, normally you would say inexperience would cause something like this, but Eric's got a lot of experience in these cars and in the Sprint Cup cars. And to me, that was either a move that he just decided to do last minute, but it's definitely a move you don't make. You don't pit under green at Talladega from the outside lane. And if you do, you better get to that yellow line in a hurry. So to me, that's really what started this whole mess.
And look, as fate would have it, he just drives right through with no damage
unscathed.
at all.
He's fine. He's in good shape.
Everybody crashing all around him, and he's able to get through it. But that was definitely a mistake there to pull in from that second lane. And we talked about when we pitted the first time, they were single file. It went okay. Double wide, not so much this time.
And it's such a tough thing to do here is to manage that. When you're in that outside lane, if you're stuck there and your crew chief says, I need you to pit the next lap, you have to be able to recognize whether that's possible or not possible, and sometimes wait an extra lap to where you get clear.
Cars are rolling once again. Let's get reaction from the garage to Matt Yoakum.
A frustrated Brennan Gaughan has left the infield care center. Now, you lived it firsthand. You've seen 2 replays. Walk us through from your vantage point what took place.
Just people act like they're not waving. I mean, you could see all the Roush cars were pitting. You could see everybody's hands, and some guys just don't pay. I don't know if they don't pay attention, if they don't realize it, but when you're pitting, start sliding up, get out of the way, let those guys get down. When you're pitting, get the hell out of the way and get down. Talladega is easy to get on and off pit road. Just get out of the way. People don't get out of the way. People try to come from the outside, and chaos happens. And South Point Chevy just got. We're running. You know, we've been running so good. Everything's been. I got through Richmond with a decent finish, and you know, now we're just sitting here picking up points again. It just pisses me off. It's not that tough to get on pit road here, and guys, for some reason, can't figure it out.
All right, thank you, Brendan. Good news. He's okay.
I feel his frustration. You know, I said it when this first happened. It's not rocket science here. It's not that difficult to do. But, you know, sometimes the slightest little mistake or decision can cause a huge mess, and then you're caught up in somebody else's bad choice.
Brennan Gaughan is very energetic, and he's so much fun, and I'm a big fan of Brennan's, and he said everything that probably most everybody was thinking.
Absolutely. I don't think he left anything out on the table.
Yeah, I see Austin Dillon running down on the apron.
As are a lot of cars. We were probably running a little bit short on gas.
Yeah.
We were trying to pit anyway, so.
Let's go to Jamie.
Well, Ryan Sieg, one of the only drivers that made it back to the garage. Ryan, chaos there for a minute. You guys had a good practice yesterday, and now it's over. What'd you see?
Nothing. You know what I mean? I thought the 18 was going to keep going because the spotter said he wasn't going to come in, and all of a sudden it looked like he came in, and then somebody behind me just never slowed down for people in front of me, and then I got spun out, and just a tough break for the Xfinity Series here at Talladega and Uncle Bob's. But we're going to get back out there and just try to ride around. But it's not the day we wanted for sure. We wanted a good finish here at Talladega.
Thanks, Ryan.
Home base for that team is Georgia. Knew there was an opportunity to turn around their luck today, and unfortunately it didn't work out. Vince?
The 33 of Austin Dillon just right sides, and they got to get it full of fuel to get to the end. That was the key point. Make sure we get this thing topped off, and they drug the fuel or the gas man almost out of the box, taking off. Austin Dillon did.
Saw Chris Buescher making a stop. Darrell Wallace Jr. on the pit lane. So was Eric Almirola. There goes Joey Logano, Elliott Sadler.
Austin Dillon had problems getting off pit road. You can see he's ahead of Chris Buescher and the likes, but about 4 or 5 cars past him exiting. So that was not a great stop for that team.
Yeah, definitely lost some valuable track position.
Saw some damage there for Eric Jones. Extended stop for him. The hood is up for Brennan Poole. 38 laps to go. We're under caution for the 3rd time. It's the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Fox.
That was a good, that was.
NASCAR Xfinity Series racing from Talladega on Fox is sponsored by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of NASCAR. Gorgeous Saturday afternoon in Talladega, Alabama. Good to have you with us. With Jeff Gordon, Michael Waltrip, I'm Adam Alexander. 76 laps complete of the 113 that make up today's Winn Dixie 300 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Under caution for the third time today. I guess we would label what we just saw coming to pit road the big one. Seem to always have one here at Talladega. It shuffled the lineup, and things going to get really interesting. And it hasn't just shuffled the lineup when you talk about what's happening on track. It's also shuffled the championship standings. We're going to leave here with a different look than what we came in, and one of the players going to pit road. There's Regan Smith.
He's probably looking the best of all of them right now. I mean, huge implications in the points. A lot of good cars and teams battling for the championship that were caught up in this. And you mentioned the big one. The big one, there's no real clear clarification of what the big one is. It's just when it's a lot of cars that are involved. So to me, yes, that was a big one.
And you talked about every time we come to Talladega, we have one. In the last 4 races, we've had 6 big ones. So it's more than a big one a race.
Great day for Austin Dillon. Started on the pole, running second. Could be a problem. Listen in.
Have a secondary battery, guys? No. He's having to flick my starter on my ignition because the motor's shutting off randomly. If I hit the start button, it comes right back on, but it's just shutting off randomly. Should I put we don't have a B?
Wow. I don't think I've ever heard of that before. The engine just randomly shutting off. Did he say what the volts were? I didn't hear if he said what the volts were.
I don't know that he ever gave an indication of what the volts were. So this is what brought out our third caution of the day. If you're just joining us, wild ride for a number of drivers as you see the angle from pit road.
Dillon Brother front row right here. It's awesome. Make it happen out there, man. Do what you do. Let's have some fun. Let's get us another trophy. I blasted the 18 right off the bat. Like, they were just going wherever. One just came right across the nose of that 6. They're wrecking down on the apron. One set, one outside. Keep coming, though. One outside, bumper. Stay up top. Stay up top. Those guys hit anything? Flat tire, guys, hit the wall. Okay, baby, just hold it straight. Don't tear it up any more than it is. Stay low, stay low, stay low. Check up, check up, check up, check up, check up. Come down pit road. 16 shot me out of there. Just caused chaos in front of you, and then you got turned from behind.
It's been a typical day at Talladega for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Brian Scott leads the way. Austin Dillon, Boris Said, Landon Castle, Dakota Armstrong, the top 5. And Michael, I see you got your phone out over there. Got the camera ready. And you're going to download some stuff to 100K Cams, right?
I can't wait to be a part of the 100K Cam show. It's going to be amazing. And all these fans, look at that lady. She's primping a little bit, but she's going to take some pictures too.
Or girl, now's your chance. Be a part of Fox Sports' groundbreaking 100,000 cameras broadcast. Here's how. 1. Go to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race on Sunday, May 3rd at Talladega Superspeedway, or watch it on TV. 2. Record your race day experience using a camera or camera phone. Get your family and friends on there too. 3. Hold your camera sideways when recording, not up and down. 4. Upload the videos to your social media accounts using the hashtags 100KCams and NASCAR. 5. Tune into Fox Sports 1 Thursday, May 14th at 9:30 p.m. Eastern to see if your footage makes the cut. There, simple, right? Now go out there and be somebody.
Use the hashtag 100KCams and watch our show May 14th, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It happens on Fox Sports 1.
And a lot of things to capture here at Talladega. I can promise you that.
So let's go back to what happened on pit road a moment ago. And the focus for you, Michael, has been the 33 of Austin Dillon.
Yeah, when he takes off, he drags his gas man with him, and the gas can falls outside of his box. Be interesting to get Andy Petrie's opinion on that. And then also, as he leaves pit road, we heard him talking about some problems with his electrical system. His car stalls. And while he was the second guy off pit road, he didn't maintain a reasonable speed, and he got passed by all these cars, Andy. So I'm curious as to how he's restarting second.
Yeah, you're right, Michael. That is the rule. He has to maintain a caution pace here as he comes off pit road, and if not, he has to give up those spots. And I think he dodged a bullet on that fuel can. The fueler is able to gas the car as the car leaves the pit stall. In other words, the car can leave the pit stall as it's being fueled, but the equipment and the gas man have to stay inside the confines of that pit box. I think they dodged a bullet right there.
Yeah, I'm surprised the new system didn't pick that up.
As equipment leaving the box?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It was definitely over the line, part of the fuel can, but maybe does the whole can need to be out of the box? That's a question I would ask.
And they just came over the radio and said the 33 has failed to maintain speed, so he will have to give back some of those positions. And as we get set for the restart here, think about some of the names in the top 10, and we'll do that in a moment. First, we remind you about our coverage here tomorrow. Jeff Gordon on the pole for the Geico 400, 10th race of the year for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Our coverage begins on Fox Sports 1, race day 11:30, and then move over to Fox at 12:30 for the Sprint Cup Series from Talladega.
Now, see, this is where I step in and say, I kind of wish you guys didn't do your job so well when I'm out there driving, because in my opinion, in my opinion, NASCAR saw all the video and how we were analyzing that, and they said, no, we've got to penalize him.
And I want to talk about a guy that I said started outside the top 30 and would be a story before the day's over. Look at the 01 car.
Yeah, he's up there. I mean, David Starr in the 44, the 14 of Cale Conley, Jeremy Clements. This is awesome.
That's why this is so much fun. There's just no way to predict the storyline here at Talladega. Austin Dillon starting on the inside of the front row next to his teammate, Brian Scott. Those guys had the world by the tail. They're teammates. They were going to start this race and have the race in control. Now that pit road problem has put some other players into the equation.
Oh, things are getting ready to heat up. I'm getting excited. This is going to get really good. We've already seen a lot of action after the last restart. Things are definitely going to heat up now. Got a little dispute as to what lane Brian Scott wants to take on this restart.
Here's what I'm wondering. So they moved Austin Dillon back to 5th, and I'm wondering if Brian Scott thought he should have lane choice because he was running up there, and did he take the outside lane? Something there did not add up. Boris said moved up.
He took the outside because his teammate was on the inside.
And
and they were gonna
because Brian Scott was the race leader.
But he gets a great start. He jumps Boris. He's going to be able to pull down to the bottom, which is where he wants to be.
It all worked out.
Yeah, and basically NASCAR kind of frowns on you making that adjustment that late, but they made a late call also on the 33, but you know, it's going to work out for Brian Scott here.
Now he's going to try to just hug that yellow line, hope that outside lane doesn't get a run on him, but it looks like a really strong push from David Starr up the outside. Is he going to get there?
David Starr, help from his rookie teammate, Cale Conley, and right behind him, Elliott Sadler, who's been strong, leading 8 laps today.
I hope Borsett was listening at the drivers' meeting because, I mean, this is not where he typically races, is in the Xfinity Series here at Talladega. So all these rules and going below the yellow line and bumping and all those things, this is sort of foreign to him, or at least he's not as experienced as a lot of these other drivers.
David Starr, outside lane 44 to the race lead at Talladega. How about that?
I love this.
And David, no stranger to success when it comes to restrictor plate racing in the Xfinity Series.
You're clear. Bring him with you.
Top 10.
Big run. You're clear. He's clear. Caution's out. Don't get run over. Caution's out. Don't get run over.
I love how excited the spotter's getting. They're so excited that they're right now leading this race, running 1-2, and they want to stay there.
You know, in qualifying, Jeff, that 44 car, David Starr, he wasn't the fastest guy. In fact, he was 18's fastest guy, and Cale Conley started back in the 26th spot. Those two did something we haven't seen the front runners do. They drove around on the outside to get the lead. What an amazing job by those two teammates.
There's the reason for our 4th caution of the day, debris on track.
And I think that's a great point, Michael. You know, this is the great equalizer. Talladega, the engine package they have here, the aero package they have here, drafting. You don't have to have the fastest race car to win this race. We've seen it time and time again over the years, and here we just saw the makings of that, and they did do a great job from the outside. They might have been pushing a little bit, but you know what? That was an awesome job working together to get at least David to the lead.
Saw Daniel Suarez head behind the wall. Talked earlier about David Starr and his success when it comes to restrictor plate racing. Got his career best finish in the Xfinity Series in the season opener at Daytona. In fact, top 10 in 2 of the last 3 plate races. And you look at the running order right now for TriStar Motorsports, 3 of their 4 vehicles running inside the top 10. Add Blake Cook to the mix. Of course, Mike Bliss had problems early on.
You know, David's somebody that you know very well in the truck series. And has had a lot of success, as you mentioned, on restrictor plate races and done a great job in that series. And he's bringing those that experience and those talents right here. And, you know, we've seen him do this before on restrictor plate races in the Xfinity Series as well.
I played a poker event at the Greenbrier up in West Virginia, and Cale Conley came there, and he was just talking to me about how much he's looking forward to coming to Talladega. It was a place that he knows he can be competitive at and getting up front. And just to hear him talk about that and see the enthusiasm in his young eyes about this place, can you imagine what he looked like inside of that car when he pushed his teammate David Starr to the lead of this event?
And that's what I love about Talladega and Daytona is while there might be some drivers that are dreading this race because it is such a white-knuckle experience, and you never know what's going to happen come to green to the pit road on a green flag stop. But there are drivers out there like David Starr, like Conley, that they see this as an opportunity. This is their opportunity to win a race. They know you don't have to have the best car out there, that drafting and this package can allow them to be just as good as anybody else out there.
And what about Austin Dillon? They get one to go. He's starting on the front row. That all gets switched around. Now he's running in the 11th spot. He's got a lot of ground to make up if he's going to win this race.
Another restart coming up. 29 laps to go at Talladega. Starr, Conley, Scott, Sadler, said the top 5. Under caution for the 4th time today at Talladega Superspeedway. 28 laps to go for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. And when our last caution came out, an incident happened coming to pit road under green. Watch the 62 of Brendan Gaughan. He's going to slide into the inside pit wall. And when he does, there are some crew members there from the 98 team of Eric Almirola. 2 were injured. 1 has been taken to the infield care center and released. The other has been transported to a local hospital for further evaluation. And as soon as we have more information on who was involved and the latest on their condition, we will pass it along to you.
And you could see where a crew member was holding the pit sign out there for, I guess it was Eric Almirola, to pit. And that's their mark. That's how they know where their stall is and where to stop. And I'm not sure if they didn't see Brendan coming at a high rate of speed to that inside wall, or they just couldn't get it up fast enough and out of the way. But that looks to me like what caused some of the injuries is getting into that sign and that pole and knocking it back into the pit crew.
There'll be 27 laps to go when we put the green flag back in the air. We talked about the fact that David Starr is the race leader. Smart move here. His teammate Cale Conley was running second. David chooses the outside lane. It's always nice to have a teammate up front so then you can dive one in front of the other and work the draft together on the restart.
Absolutely. So if they do this right, what will happen is David will sort of not jump the start, but get a really good start. And Conley will get not such a great start, and hopefully Starr will just pull right down in front of them, and they'll be nose to tail and go back to what they were doing before the caution came out.
But just remember, number 2 and number 1 in row 2, they would like to foil this plan. They would like to make sure that they get the best position on this restart. So you've got to make sure you play this game properly. And Starr also can't go to the bottom before the start-finish line, because if he does, he'll have to relinquish that spot.
And you saw right there, Conley almost checked up a little too much and lost that position to, I believe, Brian Scott. So it is a risky move, but as teammates, you certainly want to do everything you can to try to make it happen.
And they executed quite nicely.
They did a great job, and obviously they've got some pretty good power under the hood, and from what I understand, their car owner builds the engines on these cars. That's pretty cool.
Mark Smith does an unbelievable job, one of the underdog teams in the NASCAR Xfinity Series garage, but Mark is awesome, one of the good guys, if you will, in the sport.
Look at Brian Scott. He's pushing up right beside Starr. You know, guys, I hope they don't make a rule where the car owners have to all build their engines, because I'm going to be in trouble. Mark Smith's going to have a huge advantage.
Hey, the racing is great right now at Talladega. Good news, we are commercial-free to the checkered flag here on Fox.
I'm really nervous about what Cale Conley's doing, Jeff. He's just leaving that door open a little bit more than I'm comfortable with, and Boris said has had a couple of opportunities to jump on the inside. He needs to keep that car down low and guard that yellow line.
Yeah, and you know, Michael, at this point in the game, if you give somebody an inch, they're going to take it. And yeah, you really, right now, his job is to stay on the rear bumper of David Starr, his teammate in front of him, and keep that car glued to that yellow line. And then you know you've done all that you can do.
See, he's up high again.
I don't know if the air is pulling him up there, or, you know, and he's just losing the front end, or a little bit loose could be as well. But, you know, to me, you can get up there a little bit, but right here, I just don't understand why he's leaving so much room and giving Boris an opportunity to make that move.
What about the Fords teaming up there and driving around that Chevrolet of Brian Scott? And look at the big push coming from, is that Yaley? JJ Yaley in the 28 on the outside, getting a push toward the front.
It is the 28 of J.J. Yaley, up to 4th in the running order. He was strong at Daytona earlier this season.
And he's got a heck of a pusher behind him. Let me tell you, Logano is super aggressive. We see it all the time. Oh, there they go.
Conley, out of shape, back straight away.
Oh, man, that's unfortunate.
He's going to back it into the wall.
Yells out. Nice work right there, dude.
Yeah, you just wonder if he was a half a groove up again and somebody turned him. We'll have to look at the replay to see what happened. But the way he was giving room, you saw those guys, Adam. They're going for every spot, every inch on the racetrack now, and you give somebody an inch, they're going to take it all, like Jeff said.
Well, you pointed out, and I think you might be right on this. Looks like he got into his teammate there a little bit, caused them to check up a little bit. Boris comes to give him a little help, and it just a little bit too much of a nudge and turned him around.
Yeah.
5th caution of the day comes out for the Rookie of the Year contender, Cale Conley.
I do like seeing him hit a safer barrier. If you're going to hit the wall, it sure is nice to know you've got that safer barrier back there.
You can see the car just go out of control after a bump from the behind by Boris Said.
A little bit of contact there with Casey Kane also as they got 3 wide at that point.
This is what is going to happen the rest of the race. They're going to get more and more aggressive, try to get more and more spots and cause more accidents.
And I was talking about Joey Logano when that happened. I had seen about a lap earlier him trying to make a move and sort of widen the inside lane out to take it 3 wide in the middle. And it didn't work out that time, but shortly after that, here he was pushing somebody, going 3 wide and making some really aggressive moves, which at this point, you have nothing to lose. If you're going to win this race, you've got to get very aggressive, take advantage of every one of those small spaces that opens up and keep the momentum. It's all about your car. If you have a good car and you have the momentum, you just got to keep the momentum going.
You look at the schedule in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, back-to-back short tracks today at the Super Speedway. Contact each and every week. Let's hear from the 88 pit. Jamie?
And a little contact there for the 88 of Casey Kane, running 10th right now. He just reported he has smoke in the cockpit. He thinks he has a tire rub. The team talking now. They want to bring him down and clear that rub so he can continue the race and fill him up with fuel. Let's see if the 88 goes ahead and pits here.
We'll keep an eye on the 88. That's the all-star team for Junior Motorsports. We've seen Kevin Harvick behind the wheel, Dale Jr., and this weekend it's Casey Kane. Let's go back and look at that contact.
I think Kel Conley bounces off of him when he gets that hit from Boris Said right there, shoots him to the right.
And the 7 gets to the outside of Casey, so he's sort of stuck in the middle, and then he comes up, makes contact right in front of the left rear tire, and maybe even a little bit behind the right left rear tire. So definitely some damage there. It's I'd like to get a closer shot of that fender to see if it was the actual fender or maybe the crush panel up inside that was rubbing.
And there you see Casey on pit road. Now let's listen in to Boris Said and his team.
But that's exactly why you don't want to get up off that line. Yep, here it is. We got into him a little bit. Have a bang between us and the car in front of him.
Actually, I think Boris would have been in better. I totally agree. He should have been on the yellow line. Had he been on the yellow line, he actually would have drove to the inside of the 14 because the 14 gave him some room there.
Just bunched up ahead of him. You can see the 14 into the back of the 44 of David Starr, and then Boris into the back of Kel Conley, and around goes Conley. And again, we've talked about how difficult it is to see. I don't think that Boris knew that the 14 had another car letting up in front of him, and it just chain reaction.
And sometimes, how can you? You can't see that far ahead, so you maybe rely on your spotter, but you have to be prepared and ready for that line to slow up or speed up at any time. And I mean, to me, Boris, he got in the back of him, but it was really whatever happened between David Starr and Conley that sort of got them checked up, that created the contact from behind from Boris.
Mentioned the big names driving that 88 car so far this season. The next time we go racing in a couple of weeks, be a guy making his debut. Ben Rhodes behind the wheel when we go to Iowa in 2 weeks' time.
After a week off, the Xfinity Series returns on Sunday, May 17th, as we head to the land of the rolling prairie and Iowa Speedway. It's America's place to race, and it's back to the short track. Coverage begins at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, only on Fox Sports 1.
Busiest man that weekend going to be Michael Waltrip. Going to do the truck race with us on Friday night in Charlotte. Then he'll be there for All-Star Weekend on Fox Sports 1. And then he's going to come out with us to Iowa. And now we're back to the old Michael versus Jeff head-to-head here when it comes to restrictor plate
pretty
racing.
much, I mean, from where I'm standing, that looks 50-50. I mean, he barely beat me more than I beat him.
Michael, you're working your way into the Hall of Fame.
First ballot. Are you kidding me?
That could be what just punched my ticket, Jeff. I mean,
Let's take a screenshot of that.
We've had some fun battles on the super speedways over the years, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, Michael, you've always been a fantastic restrictor plate driver, and I can honestly say I've learned from a lot of drivers out there, and I've definitely learned on these restrictor plates from some things I've seen you do.
I'm really thankful I get to get out there tomorrow with you and make
Yeah, that's right. I get to learn a little more.
Just play with my earphones, and then it worked again. Yeah, it must be something there, an old loose connection. We hear everything you say. You just can't hear us for a little bit under caution.
Well, we can't hear them very good either, so maybe
No.
they ought to work on that radio.
Yeah, sometimes the connection or just the wires, get worked around. I don't know if that's a new set of earplugs for Boris, if it's in the radio or in the earplugs. But sometimes you just kind of wiggle that connection, or you turn the volume up a little bit more, and it brings that connection back and makes it clearer.
What about only at Talladega, lap 2? Elliott Sadler's out of control at 190 miles an hour, sliding through the infield grass and up into the banking. Now he's right up front on the front row.
Yeah, he's led 12 laps today. Going to be 13 when we get back to the start-finish line. To his outside on the restart, J.J. Yaley trying to pull the upset today. Eric Almirola, who's had some problems but battled back, is third. Joey Logano is fourth. 3 Fords in the top 4 for the restart. Brian Scott, Darrell Wallace Jr. on row 3. David, Starr, Smith, Buscher, and Said complete the top 10. Our aerial coverage today provided by Goodyear. Everything they learn making tires for the grueling demands of NASCAR inspires what rolls into yours. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR.
All right, guys, 22 to go. How long before the next big one?
Well, it hasn't gone well lately. We've been having caution after caution. We'll see if that's the trend all the way to the end.
I have a feeling it will be.
And I'm guessing there's going to be no working together here with those two guys in the front row. You got Ford starting first and third. They're going to work together, no doubt here, I would guess.
Yeah, you've got 2 veterans there in the inside lane that know how to get these cars restarted and use those bumpers just the right amount. But you also have J.J. Yaley, who's got a lot of experience behind the wheel of a lot of different types of cars. And then you've got aggressive Joey Logano. So here's where we start pushing the limits of NASCAR calling whether or not these guys are going to be pushing too much. A move there by Elliott Sadler going to the outside lane. I don't know if he was going up there to try to stop their momentum or maybe gain a little momentum for himself.
Yeah, he tried that changing lanes earlier in the race. That's what caused that wreck earlier. Now he just needs to be committed to the bottom for now, I think, because the 98 is giving him a nice shove. But anytime you have Joey Logano pushing you, it doesn't matter what that car ahead of you is. It's going to make some good time, and we can see they're hanging right in there on the outside.
And I'm pretty sure he's very aware of that 22 being up there, and he knows that outside lane's coming. He's getting pretty aggressive, in my opinion, pushing, and it might be pushing the limits of NASCAR. Did I hear that they may have warned the 22?
Oh.
Got a message, very important message from you from the top that we're playing with fire on the push. Need to take it easy for a little bit.
Joey Logano, 7 consecutive top 2 finishes in the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
I don't think he got the message.
And he's never finished worse than third here, but look at him. A lot of pushing going on here from that 22 to the bumper of the 28.
What I don't like seeing here is him getting to that left rear of that bumper. You can push on the right side of the rear bumper, but when you get to that left side, that's what turns cars around. That's what almost got Darrell Wallace Jr. in trouble earlier. And so Logano is super aggressive here, and they're probably going to get the lead.
Wow.
And there they go.
And look at Elliott Sadler. He's getting some pushes from Almirola that's turning him sideways. What a battle we have here at the front of the pack.
And then 3 wide, about 4 or 5 rows back from that.
Darrell Wallace Jr. back in the mix there, third in line, outside lane.
If they could see what we're watching with these guys bouncing off of each other and zigging and zagging, I don't know if they'd be 3 wide stacked up right there.
Ty Dillon out of shape, working his way back to the front in that outside lane. Boris said nowhere to go.
Casey Kane on the outside just trying to stay out of trouble.
And he's trying to rally back after having to make that pit stop moments ago when he had damage.
Doing a pretty nice job of that.
Watch Joey Logano go. He gets a hold to the back of Yaley and just makes some ground. And look, you know that's a fast 22 car because Bubba Wallace can't pull up to the back of Logano. And Logano can shove that 28 car really, really well.
It just goes to show you that if you have a strong car behind you, it just makes your car look just as strong or stronger than anybody else out there.
Well, Jeff, if you're J.J. Yaley, are you happy right now or are you scared to death because of the way that you're getting pushed around?
That's a good point. It's a little bit of both. I mean, I think he likes getting the big push and getting all the momentum, but he's also saying, please don't wreck me. And here goes Joey to the inside. You knew it was just a matter of time before this happened.
Well, his fun's over now. He needed that 22 car for those pushes to stay up there. Look at that
and
thing
look
go.
At Logano, power move, driving to the outside of Elliott Sadler, and Darrell Wallace Jr. going to move around his teammate and push the 22 to the lead.
And that's what I was going to say is had Darrell Wallace Jr. not gone with the 22, to me the 22 doesn't get the lead. So that was a huge decision to go with Logano on that one. Now he's getting shoved to the outside 3 wide, and they're coming up the middle.
We got a spin.
Regan Smith starting to work his way to the front. And the problem there for the 13 of Mark Thompson, making his first career start today.
Saved it.
Green flag stays out.
That was a really nice save. That's what this banking can do for you sometimes here at Talladega, is actually straighten the car back out.
Well,
luck.
We flashed around to a spinning car in turn 4. When I looked up, there was 5 Fords leading this race, and now Regan Smith has pushed his way up into the top 5 to be a part of that battle. But the Fords have come to play here at Talladega today.
Here's a Chevrolet that wants to be a part of the mix. Regan Smith, championship contender, been on a roll lately if you take out his misfortune at Bristol, running in the top 5, and another Chevy down below him. That's Brian Scott.
These are going to be the longest 16 laps for these guys that are inside those cars. I mean, there's just so much going on. You know, we're not hearing the constant chatter in your ear from the spotter, but that is exactly what's going on. They're trying to give them every bit of information. It's information overload, not to mention drive the car, try to get some momentum, get a push. Don't get too big of a push, don't wreck. It's gosh, this is awesome to watch.
I need to update on that. I can't look.
That's Tab Boyd, the spotter for Joey Logano. Larry, what do you see here with 16 laps to go?
There we go.
Oh, there we go. Darrell Wallace Jr. around. Chad Boat into the wall. Ty Dillon, the championship leader, is in it.
Poor Ty Dillon, he just can't stay out of trouble today.
But he keeps that thing headed in the right direction.
Casey Kane involved.
Oh, all line for Casey Kane. Looks like.
Blake Cook got a piece of the action.
Chad Boat had pushed up into that top 10 as well, doing a heck of a job before collecting that accident.
I thought I just saw him make a big, bold move from the outside to the inside lane, and I'm not sure if maybe that hole closed up.
6th caution of the day. They were coming back through the tri-oval where they were going to see 15 laps to go.
I think right now Casey Kane's going, maybe I won't volunteer to come to Talladega for the Xfinity race again next year.
I will tell you this. I talked to him yesterday, and he couldn't wait to start this race. He said, I'm gonna win this baby. I'm gonna lead every lap. Well, maybe not everyone, but I'm gonna win it. And now he's up in a pile of smoke.
He officially just started thinking about the Sprint Cup race on Sunday, right?
Yes, he did.
There's Boat in the center in that 84 car. You say you seen him make a big move, Jeff?
Yeah, I thought that I saw him. There.
He lost his momentum.
No, he just lost his momentum there, and looks like Ty just got into his left rear a little bit and turned him around.
What a tough break for Darrell Wallace Jr. Ty Dillon, just nowhere to go there.
Look at Boris Said and Mario Gosselin. They're just sliding right through the middle of all that carnage, that mess, and they make it through.
Peyton Sellers was right there in the 97.
You know, making it through these accidents like this, I mean, that's a make your day type of situation. When you make it through these types of crashes, I mean, that could possibly be implications in the point system, in your maybe giving you a shot at winning this race here before we get to the end.
How bad is the damage on the 3 car?
You know, it to me did not look all that bad when you consider what he went through.
Well, he took a big old shot to the left rear on pit road from his teammate Brennan Gaughan, and it fought his way back into contention. Wonder if he can survive this one and still have a decent day.
Yeah, and this is when a championship team has to shine, right? I mean, they've got to go through all these different things and get through the adversity and really be well collected and well organized as a team and climb their way out of what's been a very difficult day to still make some good points out of it.
Some unbelievable work by the camera folks here at NASCAR on Fox. We thank you for all you do. What are they saying for Ty Dillon? It's been a long day for them, Vince.
Well, it has indeed. And Jeff Gordon made a great point. And Danny Stockman, the crew chief, told me before the race, we want to win. That's the goal. But if something happens to we're not in position to win, we've got to maximize the day and maximize the points from a championship perspective, just as Jeff was saying. He took damage to the left front on that hit. The hood brace on the left side is broken, and the hood is buckled up a bit. So they have to tend to that left front issue. Also, a lot of debris on the grill. So you're going to see him doing a lot of work on that left front and the hood area in the left front side of the car as well.
He's only finished outside the top 10 twice this year and really hasn't had big problems at all in races. That's why he came in as the championship leader. Has been the model of consistency, but they've had their fair share of issues here today at Talladega.
They certainly have, but from looking at that car, Adam and Jeff, knowing how important the draft is, you get it taped up where parts don't start flying off of it, he could still charge up to a top 5 finish.
Oh, I think he'll be totally fine from a speed standpoint. All those cars in front of him are going to be punching a big hole in the air, so aerodynamics really aren't going to matter until he maybe makes that move for the win or to go to the front. Now, I don't think that he'll be able to just jump in that outside lane and just drive up there like he may have, because that car is going to be pretty dirty in the air with some of that damage. But no doubt in my mind, he can get in behind some other cars or go into that middle lane and shoot right to the front.
There are 25 cars on the lead lap, so there will be some traffic, but certainly he can manage through it. So 14 to go under caution. We give you our Hisense move of the race. Joey Logano leading the event right now, and here's our Hisense move of the race. A little inside, a little outside, a little horsepower, put the 22 in the lead late at Talladega.
And that's just bold. That's making a move. He decided he was going to go for it all on that very straightaway. What an amazing job.
And I thought Elliott Sadler did exactly what you have to do when you know that car is making that move. You move down to the bottom to block it. But unfortunately, Darrell Wallace Jr. Saw the momentum with the 22 car and said, I'm going with the momentum.
Joey Logano won this race in 2011, one of the 5 wins here for Joe Gibbs Racing. That's the most all-time. He was driving the 18 car on that Saturday afternoon. Today, piloting the 22 for the captain, Roger Penske, and doing a nice job. And he'll be one of the drivers we're talking about tomorrow, one of those doing double duty this weekend, won the season opener at Daytona. When you talk about drafting, he'll be driving that 22 tomorrow, trying to get his second checkered flag of the year on a plate track, Geico 500. Live coverage begins at 12:30 here on Fox. Begin your day with Race Day on Fox Sports 1, 11:30 Eastern Time. We've got you covered live in Talladega, Alabama. And I look at this weekend for Sprint Cup teams, and we kind of felt like the last few weeks on the short tracks was an opportunity for those teams not running well at the intermediates to get their shot, kind of a more balanced playing field, if you will. That's certainly the case here tomorrow. And I know all you guys in the Sprint Cup Series that don't have a win see tomorrow as a huge opportunity to punch your ticket into the chase.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. I mean, my team put a tremendous amount into qualifying. Look how it paid off for us with our Drive to In Hunger Chevrolet by being on the pole and getting that #1 pit stall. And we're going to try to take advantage of that. Yeah, we've been off on some of the intermediate tracks, but we want to take advantage of that fast race car we have for this one.
Singing the praises of Joey Logano, but Elliott Sadler trying to go back-to-back, Matt.
And earlier in the race, we heard that Joey Logano was warned by NASCAR about connecting to the bumper in front of him. Now, over this past run, Eric Almirola in the 98 was having issues with Elliott Sadler in the 1 because Sadler kept dragging his brake, trying to drag himself back to connect to Almirola. Almirola kept having to drag his brake so they wouldn't connect. And he said, ask NASCAR, what am I supposed to do when he's dragging his brake? I'm doing all I can and wearing out mine. So it should be interesting if that happens again, if they line up together for the restart.
I love that bit of communication. It's so true. You know, you think of the speed coming from drafting the car in front of you, but in all, the real way that it happens, the momentum, the speed, it happens from behind. So there's a pocket of air behind that car that's pushing you, but if your bumper can reach their rear bumper, it's even another burst of speed. But the speed really comes from that car sort of taking some of the air off the rear spoiler, which lessens the drag on the lead car, but then that pocket of air that also is pushing that car. And so you want to maximize both of those things, but obviously NASCAR doesn't want you to maximize the bumping.
And Elliott Sadler doesn't care what Eric
exactly.
Couldn't care less. He's doing what he has to do to win this race, and Eric is going to have to deal with it. NASCAR is not going to be a party to that either. That's just two racers on their own agendas doing everything they can to get the victory.
And this goes back to something you said, Michael, where it's not that you can't bump. It's you got to do it perfectly. You got to bump, come back off the car, bump, come back off the car. And that's what I would do if I was Almirola. I would just try to maximize that bumping without pushing or connecting for too long a period of time.
Let's see what Regan Smith's doing. We said we'd call him up later in the day.
I think we should.
Down to
I missed him, so yeah.
Let's ready. Hey, Regan, it's Michael and Jeff up in the Fox booth. You got a second for us?
2 will be on the bottom. You'll have the 1, the 98, and the 2 on the top.
Yeah, I got you loud and clear, Mikey.
Oh, I appreciate it. We just wanted to check in. You put yourself in a position to win this race after nearly being wrecked on lap 2. How you feeling about the scramble to the finish?
Well, I feel like it's going to be a scramble. Things always get pretty wild here at the end of these races, and it's done that today. I feel like we had a magnet around us for a little while there, so hopefully we've got rid of the magnet and we'll let somebody else power that for a little while, and we'll just stay up here and race and try and position the helmet Chevy to where it can get a trophy.
Hey, Regan, this is Jeff. Well, you're in the top 5. You're in a pretty good position, and you know pretty well of how to get it done here on that final lap. You've made some final lap passes to win this thing. You think you can do it again here today?
Yeah, I think we got a car capable of doing it. If track position is going to be the biggest factor. If I can get to where I have an opening and I can see forward, then we should be able to make a move. But I see a lot of Fords up there, so I'm sure they're going to try and keep that from happening. And we're going to try and get these bow ties I got lined up behind me ahead of them.
All right, I know I'm taking up too much time, but one last thing. We're seeing a lot of pushing out there. How do you manage the amount that you can push and connect with the car in front of you?
That's a good question, because I honestly don't know. Some of the things I've seen I thought, was pretty aggressive from a push standpoint, but, you feed as hard as you can, and I guess I don't want to be the one to force them to make a call. Let me put it that way.
Well, I've seen some taking full advantage of it, so we wish you all the best with that. Go get them in these final laps.
Thanks, Jeff.
Regan Smith flipped in the season opener at Daytona, had those problems at Bristol when he was certainly going to be a top 10, maybe a top 5 car. Despite that, he has gone on a nice climb through the points and has got an opportunity to make a statement today. And he's in a category with Chris Buescher. Chris, running third, has been so good at plate racing, was a runner-up at Daytona, a runner-up here a year ago. And when you look at the day for Ty Dillon and Chase Elliott, quite possibly Chris Buescher could leave here with a championship lead.
I love how we're stocking these Fords up against these Chevys. And then when we talk about the Toyotas, you would think that Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas would be the story there. But J.J. Yaley and David Starr are the first pair of Toyotas that are going to try to take down the Fords and the Chevys. So obviously Regan Smith realizes that those Fords will work together. He's got some Chevys around him. Be interesting to see how long they play that Ford-Chevy game, Jeff, because they're looking out for number 1 mainly.
I was going to say they're going to play that right until the green flag drops on this. What we know is probably not going to be the final restart, but I mean, it's great to have manufacturers working together, and drivers are aware of it and they want to do all they can. But at this point, it's how can we work together to get a good restart, to get ourselves in position. But once it comes down to the final laps, it doesn't matter what logo is on your hood or what's under the hood. It's all about trying to get that win.
And this is the ultimate story of David versus a Goliath in NASCAR racing. Those 2 Toyotas right there are certainly up against some of the best teams in all of NASCAR with the Roush Fenway cars and Junior Motorsports, all the guys they're racing.
Well, I think a lot of guys that we thought would be in the mix for this thing to close it out and be a contender for the win here, it's shaping up to be a heck of a finish.
Okay, perfect guy to start with. Joey Logano, the race leader. He's been here 5 times. His average finish, 2.0. That's pretty good. Is he the favorite, or who are we taking here as we go under 10 laps?
I'm still taking Buescher. I said when I came up here, good. I like Buescher. He's in a great position. It's going to be hard to beat those 2 that are in front of him, but I think he can do it.
Well,
Michael?
Elliott Sadler was crashed on lap 2, and now he's fought himself back into contention. I think he's going to be inspired, and Elliott Sadler wins this race. But I cannot wait to watch all the stuff that's going to happen between now and then. One thing about the 22 car, I think it's the fastest car. He was able to push J.J. Yaley to the front. He was able to drive around Elliott Sadler and grab the lead. 22's the favorite, but I'm pulling for Sadler.
Who's the aggressive guy he has behind him that's going to help push him? That's what he's going to need.
And what's the over-under on cautions? We've had a lot of green-white checkers. Could see overtime again today here at Talladega, Vince.
Phil Gould, the crew chief for Elliott Sadler. Phil, less than 5 laps into the race, you guys were repairing damage. Now you're sitting second in a late restart with a chance to win. How do you describe the day you've had?
Oh, man, it's been a roller coaster ride for sure. We just got to apologize to our teammate for cutting across his nose like that. It was just misjudgment by Elliott's part, but we've been able to bounce back and fight hard here at the end. You never know what might could happen.
How confident are you with the car you have here for this final go?
Well, I mean, we've had good speed. It just all depends on who gets a run, who don't. You block, you don't block. It's just it's all up to Elliott and the spotter now.
We'll look forward to it. Adam?
It's going to be a heck of a finish, Vince. Let's look at the top 10 as we anticipate the green flag in a couple of laps. Joey Logano leads. Elliott Sadler is second. Chris Buescher, Eric Almirola, Regan Smith, the top 5. Then it's Brian Scott, Landon Castle, J.J. Yaley, David Starr, and Joey Gase, the final car in the top 10. Heard from him on our Xfinity Race Day pre-race. A great story, good young man, and an opportunity for a career best at Talladega.
You know, when I thought about this opportunity for me coming up here for my final race with you guys, I thought, man, Talladega is so cool. So many different storylines. Wow, did I underestimate the number of storylines that were going to occur during this race. I mean, the points implications, which is not over yet. I mean, I think Ty Dillon has a great opportunity here to bounce back. We've got Buescher up there that has a great opportunity to make up some points on these guys. The different incidences that have happened on the track, the bum drafting,
the underdog stories.
The underdog stories.
Landon Castle, J.J. Yaley, those guys, David Starr, all inside the top 10. What about Joey Gase? He's down in the 10th spot too. There's just so many wonderful stories, and those guys like Gase, Yaley, this might be their best chance to win of their career, and they just want it so bad, and they're going to push so hard to do so.
And this is their opportunity. They know that this is their chance to shine, and they're going to try to take advantage of it, and they're going to be super aggressive to get that done. And by the way, there's 9 to go, but it's not over by any means.
I think we split this up into about three-lap sprints.
Yeah, I'm quite confident we're going to see at least one green-white checker before this thing's over.
Jeff, 7 of the last 10 races here for the NASCAR Xfinity Series did have overtime, ending in a green-white checker finish. And keeping tabs on the man that had the championship lead coming in, Ty Dillon, going to restart in the 24th position. He's on the lead lap. There are 25 cars on the lead lap. We'll go green with 8 laps to go.
I've seen that 3-car do that before.
That's exactly right. From 18th to the win in 2 laps in 2000. What amazing performance that was.
Drove right by me. I remember watching it.
Only problem is Kenny Wallace is out of the race. He can't push him.
It's going to be fun to watch the 3 try to come through this field and gain all the points and positions he can.
You're going to see him go for every gap he can find. Up the middle, outside, inside.
Good start in that outside lane for Elliott Sadler.
Getting a good push from Eric Almirola.
You know, on these restarts, you basically have to push the guy in front of you coming up through the gears. So I don't think NASCAR is going to call that. I think it's really more once they get up to speed that they're really looking for.
This is where the spotter becomes so critical.
These
Still
guys.
clear. He's clear. Both clear. All clear. Had it, baby.
Boy, how good did that work out for Sadler and Almirola?
Amazing.
4 Fords in a row there on the inside lane.
We heard Regan Smith acknowledge those Fords up there.
But Joey's not content.
Nah, it's a replay of our high sense move of the race. He said, I can drive around you, draft help or not. This time he's getting a push from Brian Scott in that outside lane.
And we, you know, I said, who's the aggressor that he can find to help push him? Well, he found the right guy. We already saw how aggressive he was pushing Darrell Wallace Jr. earlier.
What about that move by the 33 of Austin Dillon? He made them 3 wide and drove up to the back of Brian Scott. That's his teammate. Scott's got a really fast Chevy. He's going to push that Ford that we know will roll of Joey Logano's. This thing is getting really interesting.
Now, what we're seeing right now is the inside lane is way more organized. So it's really all about whether these guys can stay connected as you see them pull apart. That inside lane is definitely going to gain some momentum here until the 2 and the 22 get connected again.
Talk about organization. The 1 and the 98 have no doubt been on the same page since the restart.
Yeah, I mean, you know, other than being related from a manufacturer, there's no team relation there. So, you know, I think that Almirola really is just trying to get himself in a position to make that move on the final lap.
Boys, I'm nervous. This is crazy. These guys are just so desperate. They know they've got to make a move. You're sitting back there 7th or 8th. You're not going to win. You've got to make a move. You got to pass.
Yeah, and we see, you know, Ty Dillon trying to make some moves. We understand, you know, he's going to try to take every bit of momentum he can and make something work. And hopefully some cars get organized there on the outside. I just, man, I'll be surprised if he can come from that 3rd lane on the outside with all that damage.
But he's gone from 24th to 14th since the restart. So even if he can't get up there and contend from the win, he's thinking about points and an opportunity to pick up a number of positions here.
He just needs somebody up there, up ahead of him to pull out. Then he could pull up on them. But he's making some good ground up on the top.
And it's starting to happen. Look at this big run he's got right here. He's possibly going to get a chance to get up there. Maybe not quite to J.J. Yaley.
What about Earnhardt in the 55 pushing the 3?
And the 97 of Peyton Sellers right behind him.
Oh man, this is exciting racing right here. I am surprised they've gone as long as they have without a crash, though. So this thing is going to just continue to heat up.
What about Earnhardt pushing the 3 at Talladega?
Of course.
Let's see if they can get anywhere up on the top side. They're making good ground.
You can't make these storylines up. Only at Talladega does it happen this way.
What I'd love to see, I mean, I love seeing Earnhardt push the 3, but I'd love to see the 33 and the 3 get together. Those two brothers from, and Childress Racing, the power they have under the hood with that Chevy, I think they can really make some moves.
How about the fact Richard Childress Racing never won in the Xfinity Series at Talladega?
Does Richard build the engines in those cars?
I think you're behind your top with the advantage. You still got a lot more help on the bottom. There's only 3 cars running the top.
Boy, Brett's looking at a different race than me. Look like a whole bunch of people running the top.
Outside. You're in a great spot, man. Coming back to 3 to go. 3.5 to go.
I love what these spotters do at these races. They have such a tough job, so much pressure on them, and so much information that's there that they need to give. They need to give those drivers everything, because the more information you have, the better choices you can make.
Bailey, they're clear. You're clear. 98's not clear. Top's coming back.
Now, what I'd like to see Elliott do here,
too wide. Top with the advantage.
Can he take advantage of both of these lanes? A little bit different package here in the Xfinity Series versus the Cup Series, and it seems like they're able to get some bigger runs, where in the Cup Series you can block the outside lane and inside lane as a leader. Whoa, Brian Scott made an aggressive move there. Thought he might have a shot at getting inside the 22, but it just didn't work out.
Wow, Scott pushed the 22 around the outside. They got around Sadler, dove to the bottom.
He better be a little careful doing too much pushing. And, getting out too far can also really kind of catch up with you, where the cars can really get a big run on you if you get too far out there and get too much momentum.
We saw that at Daytona, Jeff. Brad Keselowski on the last lap got about 10 car lengths over Ryan Reed. Chris Buescher got a hold to the back of Reed. They went around Keselowski so fast he didn't know whether he was coming or going.
And Michael, you know this well. You actually have to drag the brake in those situations and keep the gap between you and the car behind you from getting too big. And that's just not natural to drag the brake at that point. Elliott Sadler getting a huge push from Buescher's going to go inside of Scott.
2 laps to go. Got to be careful. You can't go below the double yellow line. That's out of bounds.
Now, in my opinion, Scott forced him below the yellow line, so I'm curious to see how they call that.
What a move by Sadler. He just knew he couldn't get off the gas. He isn't going to win the race if he does.
Sadler's getting some pretty aggressive pushes from Almirola from behind, and you can see that car wiggling. In that situation, the car is barely underneath you. You're just working the wheel, trying to follow the back of the car.
What about your man Chris Buescher coming into contention on the last lap? He's driving up beside Joey Logano.
Is it bit of honey for all of us if he wins?
Candy for everybody. And keep in mind, the start-finish line here at Talladega, not right here in the middle of the tri-oval. You have to get through the tri-oval down toward turn 1.
White flag.
There's the start-finish line. 1 lap to go.
Gosh.
And
This
the last
is amazing.
6 races here, we've had a last lap pass for the win.
What a race.
Well, they were basically tied, Adam, so let's call it another one.
Now you can see how aggressive they're getting with the pushing right now. I mean, those cars are basically all tandem pushing, and they know they've got nothing to lose. It's the final lap. We got to go for it right now.
3 Fords and a Chevrolet up front. Outside in the 60 is Chris Buescher, looking for his 2nd career win and his first on a restrictor plate track. Down low, Logano looking for his 2nd victory at Talladega.
I told you Buescher's aggressive, and you can see he squeezed Elliott Sadler down there. He might. Oh yeah, he's going to go.
Breaking it up. Yeah.
Logano strong all weekend long through the tri-oval. They're 3 wide. Logano going to get away. Checkered flag is out. Joey Logano wins it at Talladega.
What a race.
Good job, Sam. Hell yeah.
Excellent move by Joey Logano to move up and block that outside lane. I thought Buescher really had a shot at getting to either the inside or outside of him. It looked like he had to check up just a little bit too much to be able to make that move.
You have to be perfect, it seems, to win one of these things, and that was a perfect lap for Joey Logano. That late move to block the momentum from the high side, it knocked him out of control. He was sideways for a bit. Yes, it was, Joey.
Yes, it is. I agree with that. Man, being up here in the booth, and for those people watching, I mean, it's intense. Can you imagine being inside that car and what all is going on, knowing you're about to crash about any second or win the race?
Take us through the final lap, guys.
Well, Joey's committed to the bottom, and he's got a great pusher in Elliott Sadler. But what a run Austin Dillon and Chris Buescher get on the high side. And Jeff, right there, that's a great move by Buescher. He squeezes down. He tries to halt their momentum, and it worked.
Yeah, I really thought that was the move that was going to win the race right there. If you get to the right side, that quarter panel, that spoiler of that car that's on the inside lane, you get such a huge amount of momentum that shoots you ahead of the car. Right here, Buescher gets real aggressive, gets down, tries to get to the quarter of the 22, doesn't quite do it, does make contact with Elliott Sadler. And right here, Elliott and the 22 start to come disconnected. And Joey did an awesome job.
Right there.
He recognized that they were coming disconnected and that the 60 was going to have the momentum. He moved up and made the block, and that's what won the race.
Look at this feel-good story of the day. Joey Gase all the way to the top 5 on the last lap. Amazing run by that young man.
A day he'll never forget. J.J. Yaley in the top 5. And Ty Dillon, who came in with a championship lead, restarted 24th, drove his way into the top 10, coming home in the 8th position. So many stories to tell you about, and most of them focused on Joey Logano, who's a winner at Talladega. Good job. What a day at Talladega for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. So happy to bring it to you on Fox. And look at our tracker here. And the difference in speed when you're getting a shove in the draft. At one point, the difference reached 5 miles per hour, and that ended up being the difference in the race.
You can just see the seesawing going on. Those guys are glued to one another. If Buescher just could have stayed to the right rear of the 22, this would have been a different race. Right there is the 22 and the 1 come disconnected. Joey makes a great call to move up. You know, you got to give Joey Logano a tremendous amount of credit. I mean, yeah, you know, he led every lap when we went somewhere and what were we in Bristol, and he just crushed them, but yet you come here and it's a totally different discipline, and here he is doing another fantastic job and in victory lane.
24th career victory for Joey Logano. Let's go to victory lane now.
And second career win here at Talladega, and the first one in Penske. Joey, you drive to the outside, you drive to the front, and you just hold it open and own it. How do you do that at Talladega?
Oh, that was crazy. Such a fast discount tire forward. And Tab Boyd, my spotter, he's on it. We spent a lot of time before Daytona to figure out these super speedways, and we watched some more footage before we came down here and just trying to understand the differences between Talladega and Daytona. And man, it's just so cool because it's such a combination of the old school draft and the cars hooking up and bumping. So it's like it's kind of a combo of what's going on out there. But it's so funny. It's so intense. I'm trying to catch my breath still, but it's so intense out there, and your mind's just looking at everything in the mirror the whole time. And it's just cool to get this thing in victory lane. Our pit coach Brian Holland, his dad passed away this week, so we know he was riding along with us.
Great job. Joey Logano wins at Talladega. Matt?
Another one of those drivers in that crazy mess of the run to the finish was Austin Dillon in the 33. Take us on a ride through your windshield, what you saw as you were trying to get up to the front and make a run for the finish.
Well, the top line broke apart there, and the 60 pulled out in front, so I just stayed with him, push, and I knew the 2 was going to be coming. I didn't know he had that big of a run at the end. I wish I would have known that and just kind of slid to the outside and let him give me a big shove right there, but it was a heck of a race for our Ream Chevy. We had a good car the whole time. I was just kind of riding, made it through all the wrecks, and I told Jeff Gordon we're going to try and make something happen for him. I think that was pretty exciting there at the end. I even cut my wrist on the steering wheel. I was bearing down on it pretty good.
Wow.
So, thanks Coca-Cola, Ream, everybody that helps back at the shop. It was a good day.
Top shelf effort by Austin Dillon.
His best finish to this point this season is 25th, and today he finishes 5th. Joey Gase gave us a thrill. It was thrilling to watch. How was it to be in the driver's seat at the end?
Oh, man, it was insane. I was just I was hoping to get to the end, man. It was we're getting beaten all around. There's so many wrecks going on everywhere. We almost got involved in all of them, and we got involved in one, but worked our way back up. And to get 5th with what our sponsorship is for for the whole year, is about what a top team gets in one race. So to show everyone what we can do, I love it. I just got to thank Fox for doing the special story of my mom and donation this weekend, and the Xfinity Series, Jimmy, Donate Life, DB Sales, and everyone teaming up with us. And I just hope this will show people what we can do, and maybe we can get a big corporate sponsor on us and help us do this every week.
Joey Gase is worth his support, that's for sure. A victory for the little guy today. He finishes 5th. Let's go to Matt.
What a wild run to the finish for Brian Scott. You were 6th coming out of turn 2 on the final lap. How did you get this 2 car to 2nd?
Well, first off, everybody at RCR and ECR engines, this was a fast car. It seemed like the Fords maybe had a little more speed than us, but really proud of our effort. I got to thank Shore Lodge, Albertson, Sanderson Farms, Reesers, Kraft, everybody that comes on board and helps us. I wanted it so bad, and then, the top 4 broke away like they were, pushing each other, and I just couldn't quite get there. And off at turn 4, I got a huge run finally when they separated or whatever. And J.J. Yaley, the 28, me and Almirola worked hard all day together, and just got a good shove and went to the outside and tried to make something happen. But the second here is by far my best restrictor plate finish. These things always seem to kind of snake bite me, so I'll take it, and real proud of our guys and coming home in one piece and solid run. And again, thanks to everybody that supports us.
B. Scott, oh so close, 2nd again.
What an unbelievable finish for J.J. Yaley. Climbed out of the car and said, I'm still shaking. He was 7th here a year ago, finishes 4th today. How do you describe those last couple of laps?
Nerve-wracking. This Texas Spirits 28 Toyota was really good on the outside, but it was horrible on the bottom. And, through the green flag, it went from 24th to 10th on the outside. It felt like I was going to be a hero. And then the more we ran, I got stuck on the bottom. I was all the way at the back of the line. So I got really discouraged and worried. But there at the end, got back to the outside, got to push from Brian Scott. And, they're coming through the tri-oval. I knew that I had a huge head of steam and was trying to finagle a way to get a clean lane, but I couldn't, so I just kept pushing on him, trying to get him to the win. But to come away 4th for these guys is huge. It's a great finish for them. So I want to say hi to Kristen and Faith back home. They weren't able to be here, but a good day, and we'll see what we can do tomorrow now.
Great showing for J.J. Yaley.
Vince, 6 cautions in today's race, and the scariest are third. Number of drivers coming down pit road. Brendan Gaughan, you see here, colliding with the pit sign holder of the 98 of Eric Almirola. 2 pit crew members were hurt on that 98 team. One of them taken to the infield care center and released. Another taken to a local hospital for further evaluation. That's the latest we have on that situation. So a big win today for Joey Logano. Jeff Gordon's final trip to the TV booth with us, and I think you saved your best for last. Pretty entertaining afternoon.
I got to say, thanks to Austin Dillon and all the other drivers, you did not disappoint. Wow, that was incredible. What a great race to the finish there. So much action throughout this race. I had a blast being up here, and Joey Logano, congratulations to him. Great drive.
I mean, the story for me is Joey Gase and J.J. Yaley. They just came from nowhere and battled to the front of this field, and the moves Logano made on the last lap. He had to make 3 precise moves in order to get to victory lane. He made them all perfectly.
Next weekend, the NASCAR Xfinity Series is off. We go to Iowa in 2 weeks, and Danielle, when we get there, we're going to have plenty to talk about.
Yeah, it'll be the 3rd short track race of the year, Adam, but right now at Larry McReynolds' home state of Alabama, these boys made you proud today. An awesome show.
How about Joey Logano? That's 8 consecutive top 2 finishes, including 3 wins. Brian Scott still looking for victory lane, his 4th career, 2nd place finish.
And a shout out to Joey Gase, rounding out your top 5, a career best finish for that young man. On down the list, Boris said, filling in the 54 for Kyle Busch. It is Rowdy's 30th birthday today. That's a nice birthday present for your teammate.
It is. Darrell Wallace Jr., he was involved in that wreck on lap 2 with Elliott Sadler. Kind of a rough day for Darrell Wallace Jr.
And then you see Eric Jones at the bottom of the board. He ends a streak of 5 straight top 5 finishes, and we were certainly cheering on our boy Kenny Wallace, who was racing today, got caught up in the first of several big ones, finishing deep there in the field at 38th. So with the super speedway unpredictability comes with a shakeup in the points. Ty Dillon maintains the points lead. Chris Buescher now just 9 back. Chase Elliott falls a bit with a bad race today.
Yeah, he went from 8 back in 2nd now to 37 out. Remember, that's almost a full race.
A great afternoon of action here at Talladega Super Speedway. Stay with us on Fox all evening long. Hell's Kitchen coming your way at 8 p.m. Eastern. 9, an episode of Bones, and 11 p.m. Eastern Time, Animation Domination. NASCAR on Fox coverage continues on Sunday. Tomorrow, Sprint Cup Series racing is here at the legendary Talladega Super Speedway for the Geico 500 as Denny Hamlin looks to defend his title from last year. Coverage begins at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. We hope to see you then. Have a great afternoon, everybody.
Watch left side. Damn it, 62.
Checkered flag is out. Joey Logano wins it at Talladega.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our lawyers.